Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream, this time out of Blank Gameweek 26. And yeah, the last couple of deadline streams have been the day before because I was on holiday, but here I am back in the normal setting and it's at a normal time, so to speak. But I have made my two transfers for a -4 hit. I bought in Hwang Hee-chan and Ivan Toney for the likes of Diogo Jota and Darwin Nunez, and I was actually deliberating a lot on the midfielder pick. I did sell Solanke in double Gameweek 25. That massively backfired. I still can't get over how Solanke got more minutes than Jota and Darwin combined, but the plan is to bring Solanke back in either Gameweek 27 or 28. I think the more likely scenario is to bring Solanke in double Gameweek 28 for Erling Haaland when Man City face Liverpool away, and in Gameweek 27 I am looking at Heung-min Son as a midfielder transfer, potentially for Anthony Gordon or Cole Palmer, but I'll discuss that of course in future videos and live streams. Today we're focusing on Blank Gameweek 26, and of course some of you might have an eye to Blank Gameweek 29 too. Ivan Toney does help me with navigating that blank Gameweek, but Hwang Hee-chan, it's quite unlikely that Wolves will feature in that blank unless some upsets happen in the FA Cup. And to be fair, it's two results that we need, and they're not massive upsets, but you need those two results to happen for Wolves to feature. And who knows, maybe even Man United could feature there, especially with the injury to Rasmus Hojlund, which was announced yesterday. But let's get straight into your questions as always. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel. It'd be massively appreciated as always. But like I said, let's get straight into it. It's good to see so many of you here already. So welcome to the Fantasy Football Lad. Hey, how's everything going? Pretty good. What about you? Thank you very much for asking. So have two transfers. Or had to use two free transfers. One to do Jota to Hwang Hee-chan, use the other or roll. So team is Areola, Dubravka, Saliba, Gabriel, Borro, Taylor, Estupiñán, Foden, KDB, Saka, Hwang Hee-chan, Palmer, Watkins, Haaland, and Archer. On the face of it, I think you could roll, and I think that's a really big advantage for Gameweek 27 because that's when we find out about the FA Cup results and who blanks definitively in Blank Gameweek 29. So having two free transfers next week is actually a really good position to be in, but this week, you'd start Areola, go for Saliba, Gabriel. You'd also go for Taylor and Estupiñán, I guess. The midfield, yeah, KDB. There are obviously a lot of doubts about him starting, and I completely understand that. But you've got KDB, Foden, Saka, Hwang Hee-chan, Watkins, Haaland. Yeah, you know what? I think I'd roll. I think I would roll. Because kind of breaking it down, which transfers could you make? If you have the funds, Archer to Solanke or Toney would be a really good option. And then you could bench Taylor. I'm not completely against that, but yeah, I think you could easily roll that, to be honest. Cylindra says, hey Dylan, planning to wildcard next gameweek. Thoughts on Nunez and Richarlison to Mateta and Trossard, Odegaard, Neto for a one gameweek punt. Already own Hwang. Interesting with Mateta. I mean, I wish you the best with your transfers. I'm not a big fan of Mateta still. I know Burnley is a good fixture to target, but I just don't trust Crystal Palace offensively, especially without Eze and Elise, and they're the only two I'd ever go for from Crystal Palace, to be honest. In terms of your other transfer, Trossard has a very good goals per 90-minute ratio, but the problem is he does get subbed off quite early, and there are the odd occasions where he is benched. So let's say Jesus is available and ready to start today. I could see Trossard being on the bench, but I think Trossard will start today. It's a one gameweek punt. I think that could pay off. Odegaard's been in great form ever since December, even when Arsenal was struggling. Odegaard's always playing well. And as for Pedro Neto, it's the fixture really against Sheffield United that you really want to target. So if it was me personally, it's between Odegaard and Neto. And I'd probably lean towards Neto simply because of the fixture. And I think Newcastle could really come up with a game plan to frustrate Arsenal, also have the ball not in play for a long time like they did last season at the Emirates, and Odegaard can have a great game and not get a goal or assist, which can be very frustrating. So my gut feeling is to go for Pedro Neto. Cylinder says, or just start Share and sell Richarlison, Nunez and KDB if he doesn't start to two of Mateta, Doku, Trossard, Neto. And other than captaining Haaland, who else is the best differential? Well, I wouldn't call Watkins a differential, but he's a nice captaincy alternative. I also think Saka is another one, but in terms of differential captains, in the grand scheme of things, I know it might not seem like it because everyone on YouTube or Twitter is going for Hwang Hee-chan and Pedro Neto, but going for one of them as captain is definitely a differential. And I'd also say Ivan Toney, actually. Toney, for me, is a very underrated pick this week. Great record against West Ham. Brentford also do get the better of West Ham most times, and I think they could really struggle once again. The Hammers haven't won a single game in this calendar year, so if you're asking me about differential captain, I'd probably say Ivan Toney. But yeah, Saka, Watkins, Hwang Hee-chan, Pedro Neto, also good captaincy options. But I think, yeah, differential captain, I'd go for Ivan Toney. In terms of your first question, or just start share, not a big fan of that. I think Arsenal will still score a few goals against Newcastle. And as for the other options, so Mateta, once again, I'm not a big fan of. Doku, yeah, I mean, he did really well in the reverse fixture. So it could be a one gimmick pun that works out for you. But yeah, I'd probably just stick to the likes of Neto and Odegaard. Mandip says, hi mate, only have 2 players currently playing in Game Week 29. Can't decide if I should only bring in players playing in 29 or attack this next free Game Weeks and wildcard free hit in 29. Which route is more viable? Yeah, so it's a great question. I'm currently in a position where I don't have many players in 29, probably around 4 or 5. I'd have to double check that, but I can get to 8 or 9 by taking a -4 hit this week, which I've already done, and another -4 probably in double game week 28 and in 29. I think in your case, it's probably best to free hit in 29. It's not ideal. I think the ceiling is quite low in that game week, but having 11 players on a free hit with the best players available for that specific game week compared to, let's say, 5 or 6, maybe 7 by taking hits, yeah, I think it's probably best to use the free hit in your scenario. Mark Castley says, hi, thoughts on selling either Van Dijk or Borro? Would you consider bringing in 8 Nuri, Pau Torres or Reguilon for one of them? I think it depends a lot as well on your Game Week 29 strategy. Liverpool are very likely to blank there and not face Everton, whilst Borro has a confirmed fixture against Fulham away. So if you're planning to navigate that blank game week without the use of a free hit, I'd rather keep Borro, who could be back as soon as Game Week 27, and I'd sell Van Dijk. And it also opens up a bit more funds for you. As for, would you consider bringing in 8 Nuri, Pau Torres or Reguilon for one of them? Yes, and Pau Torres and Reguilon are the best to cover Game Week 26 and 29. In the case of 8 Nuri, if you just want a 1 game week punt and potentially someone who does well for you over the next 3 game weeks, 8 Nuri is probably the most exciting pick. But in terms of looking for Game Week 29 too, I think my favourite would probably be Reguilon. Beardy says, I have 8 Nuri, would go for him. Yeah, I think as a 1 gimmick punt, you are right. It just depends, of course, on the blank gimmick 29 strategy, and that also impacts upon the Van Dijk versus Borro question. Courage says, I'm getting tired of Estupinian, thinking of taking a -4 to sell him. I have Borro, Doughty, and Ake. Yeah, I can understand that. You are quite thin at the back this week, but I genuinely believe Estupinian will start, and that's before I even saw the rumours or the news that he was invited to the Serbi's house and all of that. I personally think he will start this game. Some Brighton fans don't feel the same way. They think he'll start in the FA Cup and be on the bench here. But yeah, I wouldn't take a -4 hit to sell Estupinian this week. Ultimately, I would sell him, but not in Game Week 26. Do you think there is a good chance Ake starts? I think he does start. Once I saw him benched against Brentford in the reaction stream, I talked about this. I think he's going to start against Bournemouth, his former club. And Ake in the long term is a sell, but I'd keep him for this week. I think he starts. And also, Bournemouth have a terrible record against Manchester City. Welcome, Leonardo. Morning to you as well. Would you would do it for Borro? Keep Van Dijk if you have the funds to keep him. Fair enough, Beardy. Yeah, I think once again, it ultimately depends on the Game Week 29 strategy. But yeah, Van Dijk has been quite decent recently. Borro has been very underwhelming. And of course, he got injured not so long ago. Bowen or Bailey? I'd rather go for Bowen still, especially with the news that Paqueta is back very soon. It could be as soon as Monday. If that's the case, that is a massive boost, not just for West Ham, but particularly for Bowen, who does really well with Paqueta alongside him. So yeah, I think looking at Game Week 29 as well, and the minutes, the Europa Conference League impacting on Bailey's minutes, I'd rather have Bowen. I have Trippier, Stupinian, Senesi, and De Bruyne in my starting 11. No bench cover. Do I need a -4 to cover any one of them? I don't necessarily think so. I mean, you could make a case because Senesi's facing Man City. I think Man City will score 3 or 4 personally. And it really depends on the quality of player you're bringing in. So if you're bringing in an Ivan Toney, a Solanke who helps you cover 27 and 28, or maybe, let's say, a Hwang Hee-chan or Pedro Neto, that sort of -4 hit can pay off. But it ultimately depends on the player you're bringing in, Leonardo. And I would bench Senesi out of all those players. My free transfer was Jota to Hwang Hee-chan. Fair enough. Yeah, I'd be really considering Toney or Solanke, especially Ivan Toney this week. Would you put Toney or Fernandes in a free hit team? Check out my best free hit team video. I cover all of it. I know Rasmus is on the thumbnail, but he actually doesn't feature in the final 11. It's actually Ivan Toney who does. Bruno Fernandes has a great record against Fulham, but his FPL record this season has been quite underwhelming. He's not getting that many goals or assists as he used to. But I think in a 1 game week against Fulham, one of his favourite opponents, Fernandes is a good shout, but I'd rather go for Toney if I had to pick one of them. SOCLH says, hi Dylan, start Odegaard or Toney? I'd go for Toney, but I do like Odegaard this week. and Arsenal have a great record against Newcastle at the Emirates. I think Newcastle haven't scored in the last 8 meetings in London, and Arsenal scored 16 in that time period. Jota to Douglas Luiz. Yeah, to cover 26 and 29, I still think Douglas Luiz is a good option. He's a bonus points machine. My main issue with Douglas Luiz is that away from home, he's only returned in 2 matches, and the fixture 29 is away from home against West Ham. But then looking at the pros, he did get a 15-point haul against West Ham in the reverse fixture, and at Villa Park, he is so consistent. So I think it ultimately depends on a few factors, but I think Luiz is still a decent transfer in for 26 and 29, and even against Luton and Tottenham, he's not a bad option, particularly against Tottenham at home. Don Kuwait Nuri says sad. I prefer Nuri. I think with Brighton assets, if you want someone over the next 3 game weeks, go for Gross or a Dingra. I wouldn't go for their defenders. And as for Nuri, the fixture this week is as good as you get. So I'd rather go for Nuri. So yeah, I appreciate those. Well, with the many questions coming in, I'll try to catch up very quickly. So Yogesh says, already did 2 free transfers, Darwin to Watkins and Jota to Hwang. Would you do Palmer to Bowen and Trent to Pau Torres for a -8 to field 11 players? No. I think Palmer to Bowen is a decent -4, especially because it helps you navigate 2 blank game weeks, not just 1. I don't think another -4 hit to get Pau Torres is worth it. I think Forest score, and even if Aston Villa kept the clean sheet, unless Pau Torres got bonus points or an attack in return, it doesn't really lead to many more points gained. So it's a very risky transfer for no reason, in my opinion. The only good thing about Pau Torres is that he also helps you cover Blank Gameweek 29, but I'd much rather go for Bowen with a higher upside. K-Man Corner says 7.4 million in the bank, want to move out Richarlison, Gross, Hwang, Neto. Chasing the pack, most will have Hwang. Yes, I understand that. Gross has been really good recently. I sold him literally when his run started. He's on penalties now in Joao Pedro's absence. Pedro Neto has been so consistent this season, but yeah, my personal preference is Hwang. That's why I went for him. I know a lot of people are buying him as well, and that does discourage you a little bit. I understand that, but I do think his ceiling is really high this week and also against Fulham in a couple of weeks' time. Even Newcastle away in Gameweek 27 looks pretty good on paper. And if they were to feature in Blank Gameweek 29, I think Hwang Hee-chan is one of the best midfielders over the next 4 game weeks. Dixie, welcome. Hi, Dylan. 700,000 in the world. Having a bad season. I bought in Watkins, Hwang Hee-chan and Bowen for Jota, Darwin and Gordon for a -8. Hwang Hee-chan captain, 11. Outbuilding for Gameweek 29, not playing a chip. Yeah, that's fair enough, and good transfers in. I'm not a huge fan of taking -8s or above, but I think it is still acceptable, especially when you're navigating 2 blank game weeks that way. I like the transfers in, what can I say? And Watkins is almost essential. He's one of the best forwards in the game and assets. Hwang Hee-chan looks pretty good this week. And as for Jarrod Bowen, I think he'll start to pick up very soon. I was actually considering him instead of Hwang Hee-chan, but in the end, I did go for the South Korean. Good luck with your transfers and also your week. But I do like the transfers, I have to say that. Zohib says, should I do Palmer to Hwang or roll as I have 11 players but Senesi got City? I'd personally do Palmer to Hwang and bench Senesi because, yeah, I don't think he gets anything against Man City, to be honest. 1 or 2 points would be quite respectable, all things considered. Alex Tierney says, start Ake or Dawson in a free hit team. Maybe you have another defender as an idea. I'd probably go for Dawson. So in my free hit team, I did go for Ake, but that's because I had Jose Sarr at the back. But yeah, I'd probably go for Dawson. Hi Dylan, 5 defenders you look to buy on a wildcard. Check out my best wildcard team video. It's all covered there. But yeah, the main ones I consider are Reguilon, Pau Torres. I would also go for an Arsenal defender, Gabriel or Saliba. And just referring back to my wildcard team, I would also, yeah, go for a Dallo and still a Senesi or Doughty. And of course, with those options, you benched him this week. But yeah, I think that's the way I'd go. So this week, you'd start Gabriel, Dallo and Reguilon, or potentially Pau Torres, depending on your preference. And yeah, I think that is pretty much the 5 defenders I'd go for to cover Blank Gameweek 26 and 29, but also who have good fixtures in between. Let's see what else we have. So any news on KDB? So Pep Guardiola talked about him yesterday. He said he's not injured, but he's not 100% and he's going to be assessed. So I think the rumours are that he has travelled with the squad, but in terms of starting, that's where things become a bit grey. And KDB obviously didn't feature in the last game against Brentford because he had a little problem. But yeah, he's not injured right now. He's not 100%, and there is a chance he is benched tonight. Good morning. Would you go for Rashford or Bruno? Good luck. Well, Bruno has a good record against Fulham, but in terms of FPL returns, Rashford has been slightly better, especially in recent weeks. Tricky one. I'd probably go for Bruno. I just have a gut feeling about him this week, and also I do sometimes place emphasis on a player having a good record against a specific team. So I'd probably go for Bruno, but both are decent options this week. I do think they're less appealing now with Hojlund being injured. And Man United have a terrible record, I think, without that front three of Garnacho, Rashford and Hojlund. So with those three, it's 6 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses, and also a healthy number of goals scored, averaging around, well, just under 3 goals per game. But without them, they've got more losses than wins, and they also average 1 goal per game. But I'd probably go for Bruno. Joel Goddard says, used free transfer on Jota to Luiz, now have 11 players, but includes KDB, Estupinian and Taylor. Do I take a -4 for Powell in for Bradley to cover my backline? No. I think with hits, I'd rather take them in the midfield and forward line. The good thing about Powell, as I mentioned earlier, he features in 2 blank game weeks, but I don't think that transfer really pays off this week, and I don't think he has enough upside to really make that worthwhile. Morning Dylan, start Robinson or Tavernier? I would rather go for Robinson, but yeah, that's mainly because of the Hojlund injury and United struggling without that front three. Hwang or Pedro Neto? Hwang, I bought him in myself. It's a close one though. Pedro Neto for me is the better player. He's more consistent in terms of creativity. He's also far superior. But Hwang Hee-chan is potentially on penalties, especially when Sarabia isn't on the pitch. He's also playing down the middle in Cunha's absence. And I also think he's a very threatening player. He's got by far the most goal threat in the Wolves team. He got an assist in the reverse fixture against Sheffield United too. I think Pedro Neto's played them once, Sheffield United, and he's got 1 assist in 1 game as well. But yeah, Hwang Hee-chan would be my answer. Start Lascelles or Taylor? I'd rather go for Taylor. What to do with Trent, Jota and Adebayo? Whom to bring in if it's a sell? Well, they're sells for me. Trent could be back by Gameweek 27, but yeah, with Jota, he's definitely out. He's by far the biggest sell. Adebayo isn't actually too bad. They're going to see how long he's going to be out for. But yeah, Adebayo should be back in time for double Gameweek 28. So if you are planning to optimize your Luton Town players for that double, I'd keep Adebayo and I'd rather sell Trent and Jota. And whom to bring in if it's a sell? Well, for Trent, I'm not sure who you have already, but I've mentioned some defenders like Reguilon, Pau Torres, if you're looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 and 26. There's also Gabriel and Saliba. I still like them over the next couple of game weeks. So, yeah, those would be the defenders I'd look at. Even Dalot this week looks good. As for Jota, Hwang Hee-chan, Pedro Neto, Odegaard are good options. Jarrod Bowen, Douglas Luiz, Bailey. Of course, it depends who you have already. If you don't have Saka, it's very easy. And in Gameweek 27, you could do Jota to Son. Thank you, Leonardo, as well. Massively appreciated. Don Trent, Nuri, and Jota to Hwang. Yeah, good transfers, especially the Hwang move. With Nuri, his minutes can be a bit inconsistent, but I do like him this week. Who to captain, Saka, Haaland, Hwang, or Watkins? Back your gut. I'm going for Haaland currently, and that's mainly because of Man City's record against Bournemouth. I think in the last 3 games, Man City have 14 goals against Bournemouth. It's a terrific record. They scored 6 in the reverse fixture. Last season, I think it was 4-1 at the Vitality Stadium. Would you take a -4 to move Estupinian to Gabriel? No, I wouldn't do that. Good to see you, Jay. Dombadiashile plus Jota to Bailey and Moreno, says Weiseng. Yeah. Overall, once again, covers 2 game weeks. Moreno, I'm a bit concerned about. Not this week, I think he starts, but once the Europa Conference League comes in, I think he could be benched in a week where you really need him, like Blank Gameweek 29. If you're looking to free hit, then anyway, it's not a big issue, but it's something worth considering. I can't decide between Saka or Watkins captain this week. Yeah, in the team selection, I had Watkins vice captain, then I changed it to Saka. It's quite close, to be honest, between them. Arsenal went back to their sluggish self against Porto. That did put me off a little bit from Saka, where I had him captain in UCL Fantasy. With Watkins, he doesn't have a great record against Forest, which is quite surprising. I think it's 2 goals in 9 games, 1 in 3 in the Premier League. But I do back him to score this week. I just don't think he has a high ceiling because Forest have the 2nd best defence over the last 6 game weeks since Nuno Espirito Santo came in. Mandip says, hi mate, buy 2 from Pau, Saliba, or Nuri. Saliba for sure, and I'd probably go for Pau to cover 26 and 29. Who do you sell for Hwang, Richarlison or Palmer? I sold Jota. And Brown, morning Dylan, just dropping a comment to say we have the same 11 apart from Gordon. I've got Gross. Yeah, I sold Gross to Gordon a few weeks ago. Are you tempted at all by Juan captaincy? Tempted, yes, but I don't think I'm going to go there. KDB starting. I've mentioned this earlier, so of course we have no guarantees. He's not injured, but he's also not 100% according to Pep Guardiola. They're going to do fitness tests and check. I think if he is available and ready to start, he does, but who knows? I'm not going to, tell you, yes, he's starting or no, he's not, because I honestly don't know. We might get some leaks before the deadline, but my gut feeling is that he does start. Let's see if he does, but don't take my word for it. It's literally just an estimated, not even a educated guess, to be honest. Odegaard or Hwang? I do prefer Hwang because of the price and the fixture this week. And with Odegaard, he's been playing great for a couple of months, but he can have a really good game and not get a goal or assist. Gabriel or Wolves defender? Gabriel. So this week, Wolves defenders look better. I'm not going to deny that. But in 27, 28, I think Gabriel trumps him. And then from Gimmick 31 until the rest of the season, I think Gabriel is a season keeper. The defence mark is a bit dry. Yeah, I agree. But the problem with Arsenal is that Newcastle isn't an easy game. So despite their good record against the Toon at the Emirates, like I said, Newcastle haven't scored in the last 8 visits to London. I still think Newcastle can get a goal. Hi Dylan, who to sell, Udogie, Pinnock or Virgil to get Salah, and who to buy? I'd rather sell... It ultimately, once again, it depends on your Game at 29 strategy. If you're looking to navigate that without the free hit, then I'd sell Van Dijk. But in order to get Salah, remember, don't buy Salah this week. Some people are doing it still. He is blanking. He's not going to have a fixture. In Game at 27, Salah looks great against Forest, but then it's Man City and a likely blank in 29. So, in my opinion, the best time to get Salah is Game at 30 and beyond. And it's probably the best captaincy option against Brighton in Game at 30. But yeah, I think in terms of who to sell, depends on your 29 strategy. If you're looking to free hit then I'd probably sell... Probably a doggy. Bell or Van Dijk out for Gabriel? I'd probably rather sell Van Dijk. I know it sounds absolutely crazy to say that, by the way. Van Dijk is better than Bell in 27, but Bell has a double in 28, and by selling Van Dijk, you do open up a lot of funds for other moves. Dylan, what would you do with KDB? Well, definitely keep him until we get confirmation about him starting or not. And that is not a guarantee that we'll get that news before the deadline. But yeah, I'd probably just keep him this week and sell in 27 or 28. Hwang Hee-chan or Garnacho? Hwang Hee-chan. Thoughts on Adingra? I do prefer Gross, but Adingra is a decent option, I'm not going to lie. He was really good in the last game against Sheffield United and, of course, in AFCON. But yeah, Gross is my preference. Trade Matoma to Gross, Hwang or Adingra for a -4. I just hope Matoma will start. Yeah, Matoma is a big doubt. I would rather go for Hwang, but Gross is really close. Now, Hwang is more likely to feature than Gross in 29, but as things stand, both of them quite unlikely to do so anyway. Over the next 3 game weeks, both of them have good fixtures, but I'd rather go for Hwang. They did great at the Etihad. They could do something here. If you're talking about Newcastle, that is true, but ultimately they did lose the game. Hwang or Gross? Hwang. Buy Hwang for a hit or start KDB or Foden if they're benched. Tricky one. I think I'd buy Hwang for a hit, but it's not absolutely necessary. And if you don't go with Hwang or Pedro Neto, it's not the end of the world. It is Wolves after all, and there are many alternatives in the midfield. Should I bring Garnacho for Jota or Gabriel for Estupinian or both for a -4? It's a good question. I like Garnacho this week. He's got a good record against Fulham. This week specifically, I prefer Garnacho over Gabriel, but in terms of long-term options, Gabriel's my favourite. So just depends what you're looking for. A medium to long-term transfer, then Gabriel's your answer. For this week, it's Garnacho. Watkins captain, he's in my top 5 in terms of players I have, and maybe overall he still enters that list. But yeah, like I said, 1 goal in 3 Premier League games against Forest, 2 goals in 9 games overall against them. Not a great record, but he is a good captaincy option. I think in his only home appearance, whilst the Villa player against Forest, he did score. So take that with a pinch of salt too. I do prefer Saka, Haaland, potentially Hwang Hee-chan and Tony, but Watkins is one of the best captaincy options this week. There's no doubt about it. And to be honest, he was my vice captain in the team selection. I'm quite mixed between him and Saka. Thoughts on the free hit? I wouldn't use it this week unless you're in a situation where you have 5-6 players and you're not even covering some of the best options in the game. I'd rather use it in Game Week 34 or 37, and I think a very popular strategy that will happen soon is to use it in Blank Gameweek 29. Bench Bailey or Garnacho. Oh, that's tricky. I'd probably bench Garnacho, but like I said, good record against Fulham. Buy Pau for a -4 if Estupinian or Taylor's benched. Like I said, I wouldn't do it. The only way that really works out is if you're looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit. So Pau Torres helps you cover 2 Blank Gameweeks, and in that scenario, I think a -4 hit could be worthwhile. But if you're looking, for a defender to get in this week and for it to pay off immediately, I don't think Pau Torres necessarily does that for a -4. Mario says, hi Dylan, KDB to Saka worth a -4 hit. If KDB is benched, then yeah, so I'd wait for more information, but until then, I'd probably just keep KDB for now. How long have you been stuck with Lascelles? A long time, but I've had much bigger fish to fry and bigger priorities to offload. I like Tony, but then I might not be able to get Solanke in for his double for Sheffield United and Luton at home. But also consider selling Haaland to Solanke in 28. I know that might sound, ridiculous to you, but he's facing Liverpool away, and he did blank last time out there. Then in 29, Man City are very unlikely to feature. So, yeah, I can understand that, but I think Tony's a great option for the next two, at the very least. Thoughts on Tony, captain? He's in my top 5, firmly in it. I'd argue he's slightly better than Watkins this week, but that's obviously up for debate. Great record against West Ham, who are really struggling. I do like Tony. That's why I bought him in. Best midfielder to bring in this week. Already have Hwang, and I'm free hitting in 29. Well, apart from the obvious Sakas and Fodens of the world, I would probably recommend... I still like Pedro Neto. I also think Gross for this week and also up until Gimmick 29 is a great option. So, yeah, I'd say Gross or Pedro Neto. Hwang Hee-chan, Gross or Odegaard? Hwang Hee-chan. Hey Dylan, should I keep Konsa? I want him for 29. Emery said he is progressing well. Yeah, if you can afford to bench him this week and you still have a full 11 that you're happy with, I'd keep him. Are one of Mikalenko, Sinchenko or Archer playing? If not, I might take a hit because I'll be playing with 10 players. I'm not so sure about Mikalenko or Archer. I think that's just going to depend on late fitness tests. Sinchenko is close, but that's been the case for a couple of weeks now. And even if he is available, I'm not so sure if he starts. He could be on the bench. Kivior's been doing quite well in his absence. Then you've also got Timber and Tomiyasu progressing as well, but they're not going to be available this week. But yeah, I think with Sinchenko, he's not going to start. Might be on the bench. As for the others, I'm honestly not so sure. Which player worth a -4 if KDB Foden is bench? No free hit in 29. Okay. To cover 26 and 29, I think Bowen is one of the better options. Then I'd be looking at Douglas Luiz and Bailey. But if you're not too focused on 29 and you're happy to have 8 or 9 players, you're not really too fussed about getting as many as possible, then I'd still consider Gross this week. Dylan, who's the best captaincy option? Bruno Fernandes or Saka? I'd rather go for Saka. Much better form. Bruno has a great record against Fulham, but his FPL returns have been very underwhelming this season. Like I said, Mateus, I wouldn't do it for a -4 unless we get confirmation of KDB benched. If that's the case, I'd do it, but otherwise, I'd keep KDB for now. Captain Watkins or Hwang? I'd probably go for Watkins still. Do you think Van Heck is fine to start this week? Yeah, I think he's fine to start this week. I don't think Brighton keep a clean sheet, and Everton destroyed them last time at the Amex Stadium, but things have changed since then. No worries, Sudindra. I think I'm planning to captain one of Tony or Hwang. Yeah, Tony's very tempting for me, I'm not going to lie. I have 11 playing. Should I transfer out Stupinian for another defender for a -4? No, my answer is no. Yeah, of course, Weiseng. I mean, I don't think Porto are a particularly great team. They had a game plan, they executed it, but yeah, I think Arsenal, if they turn up, I think they easily beat them. Captain Gabriel? Gabriel? You're not talking about the centre-back, are you? If that's the case, I definitely wouldn't captain him. Burn and Estupinian could be benched too, so a Palmer, Odegaard or Sinchenko to Gabriel for a -4, I'm thinking too. Yeah, and look, it's not just about this week, it's about 27 and 28. Arsenal probably won't feature in 29 unless Leeds beat Chelsea in the FA Cup 5th round, but Gabriel's a season keeper, so I can understand that. I'm just not a big fan of taking a hit for a defender, especially Gabriel at home to Newcastle, where I expect a Toon to score. When do you plan on using free hit, if not 29? The current plan is 34 or 37, but I am open-minded, and if I'm really struggling to get to a respectable number, and not just quantity of players, but also the quality of players in 29, I might just use the free hit. Start Anderson or Region. I'd go for Anderson. Are you sure you're not going to change that captaincy? I didn't say I'm not changing it. I never said that. Bench 1, Saka, Garnacho, Hwang, Foden, KDB, Haaland, Watkins, Solanke. That is extremely tricky. You know what? It sounds crazy, but I'd probably bench Solanke. I don't think Bournemouth... They probably get 1 goal against Man City at the most. And of course, Solanke could be involved, but I personally think City keep a clean sheet and win by 2 or 3 minimum. Hi, thanks for your free hit video. Just referring to it, would you still play KDB and Ake? Potentially, instead of KDB, I would replace him. Ake, of course, I can understand why you'd be a bit apprehensive. Now, there are 2 good alternatives on the bench on the free hit team. I think Van Heck is there for budget reasons, and you've also got Pau Torres. You could start Pau Torres over Ake. Instead of KDB, I would reconsider maybe going a different direction. So you could go for Pedro Neto, I believe, if he's not there already. Let me just refer back to the free hit team. So, yeah, Saka, Hwang Hee-chan, Gross, Garnacho as a budget option, who you could even start this week. I think Bailey's a decent shout against Forest at home. But yeah, I think I'd probably replace KDB. Now, if there is confirmation of him starting, and we get that before the deadline, then of course I maintain him in the free hit team, that's for sure. And of course, you can just go for Foden as a like-for-like Man City replacement. Douglas Luiz, still a decent option, but I'm still a bit fearful about him playing deeper at times, with Kamara being injured for the rest of the season. Thank you, Ala Madrid. Likewise, hopefully you're having a great weekend. What's happening in Game Week 29 is the biggest blank game week of the season. I have referred to it many times. There are, as things stand, 3 confirmed fixtures. So Fulham versus Tottenham, Burnley versus Brentford. And of course, look, a lot of it depends on the FA Cup 5th round results. So for example, and by the way, the other game that's taking place is West Ham Aston Villa. But if Chelsea lose to Leeds United, that means they will be able to feature in 29 against Arsenal, and it will make it much easier to navigate Blank Gameweek 29. But yeah, it's all dependent on the FA Cup 5th round results. But teams like Man City and Liverpool are very unlikely to feature in Blank Gameweek 29. Sell Bradley to Pau Torres or Palmer to Douglas Luiz, says Coopsy Coop. That's a good question, to be honest. I'd rather sell Bradley to Pau Torres because I think Palmer in 27 and 28 is an underrated option who could do very well for people who keep him. So, yeah, Bradley to Pau Torres is my favourite. Yeah, no, wait a second, I'm not going to do that. I actually want points. And to be fair, my captaincy has been decent recently, but a bit underwhelmed by Erling Haaland last week. Is Trossard a good differential? Yes, I think he's a decent differential. I'd rather go for Odegaard, but Trossard's playing down the middle. The problem is, once Jesus is back, I think Trossard's minutes reduced dramatically. What to do with Estupiñán? I talked about this in the transfer tips. Keep him for 26, sell him in 27 and beyond. Bench Solanke or Hwang Hee-chan? Solanke, I'd bench him. No worries, Williams Tropical Farm. Sid says, I haven't both free hit, bench boost and wildcard available. Suggestions when to use. I haven't both free hit. Yeah, so if you've got all chips available, I mean, look, it's team dependent. What I'm looking to do personally is probably bench boost in 37, free hit in 34, and wildcard in 30 or 31. But I am open-minded. I could even wildcard in 27. It depends a lot on the FA Cup 5th round results, and that's why I'm keeping my options open. Hi, Dylan. Potential team for this week, says Vanith. So Pickford, Braithwaite, or Branthwaite, Saliba, Trippier, Saka, Hwang Hee-chan, Foden, Gordon, Watkins, Haaland. The thing is, I need to sell KDB to get to Watkins. Otherwise, I have 10. Right, I understand that. Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for any leaks because we could get news of KDB being benched. If that's the case, then yeah, I'd happily sell him and get Watkins because Watkins is one of the best options, not just this week, but also in 27, 28, 29, and probably until the end of the season, even when Aston Villa's fixtures turn for the worse. Would you consider adding a clock countdown for the deadline? Yes, I would consider it. What do you think about Kivior? As an FPL option, not really interested because Zinchenko is close to return. You've also got Timber and Tomiyasu as well. Hi, Dylan. Would you play Garnacho or Solanke this game week? Garnacho. I only have one player for Game Week 29. Should I free in 29 or take a -12 hit until then? Play with 9 players in 29 and save free hit for 34. I'd probably just play the free hit, to be honest. Who'd you sell for Hwang? Richarlison or Palmer? I answered this, mate. I saw Jota. I never had Richarlison, although I was very close to buying him. And Palmer, as you can see, is on my bench, so I didn't sell him. So yeah, be sure to drop a like if you haven't already. Let's get the stream to over 100. It'd be massively appreciated. I'm hopeful Chelsea lose to Leeds so everyone can save the 3 and 29. Yeah, it kind of goes both ways. I don't want people to have it easy, but it also would make it easier for myself. So it kind of goes both ways. Should I sell Konsa, says Redder. If you have an 11 this week and you're happy with it, I'd keep Konsa because he can be quite useful in 29. Senesi or 8 Nuri? This week, 8 Nuri all day long, but Senesi is probably the better option in 27 and in Gameweek 28. Goldhead says KDB, Gordon, Luiz, or Palmer to Hwang for a hit. Other movers, Darwin to Solanke or Tony. Not going to lie to you, this week my favourite move would be Darwin to Tony, and I talked about this in the Discord server. If you were to go for a midfielder transfer, then if KDB's benched, you sell him to Hwang for a hit. Otherwise, if KDB is starting, I'd probably sell Gordon or Palmer, but I do like Palmer for 27 and 28, I'm not going to lie. I got Jota, Bodro, and KDB, 1 free transfer. Any suggestions? My defence, only Gabriel and Taylor playing. Yeah, my suggestion is to sell Jota. I mean, that's very simple because he not only blanks in 26, Liverpool are likely to blank in 29. Jota's out for months, it looks like, so he's a very easy sell. Bodro is arguably a keep because of 29. He could be back by Gameweek 27 in early March. KDB, let's see if he starts or not, but yeah, Jota's the one to sell. Planning for triple captain with Solanke in 28. Yeah, makes sense. You might have other opportunities later in the season, like Heung-min Son in Gameweek 34 or 37, but I think Solanke, in terms of fixtures, has got the best set of doubles you can see, really. No worries, Daniel. Would you take a -4 for a defender this week to field a full 11? No, I probably wouldn't. It depends on some circumstances, like who you're selling, who you're buying in, but yeah, unless you're covering Blank Gameweek 26 and 29, I don't think a -4 hit is worth it for a defender this week. I wouldn't say 100% locked in because the captaincy could change, but in terms of transfers, I think I'm locked in. Unless we get news of Haaland, Ake, Foden, maybe 2 of them being benched, then I might just take another hit. Best time to bring in Solanke, Gameweek 27. And for who? That's where things get tricky because I don't know who you have, for example. But in my case, with Tony, Watkins, and Haaland, my plan is to sell Haaland in Gameweek 28 to Solanke. Had to transfer Saka back in, gutted I got rid, hurt my rank, and then went with Garnacho as a differential. Yeah, and Garnacho's been quite decent recently, to be fair, but Saka's been exceptional. That's the thing. Thank you, K-Man. Haaland form concerning. I mean, I don't know. We have very high standards, don't we, for Erling Haaland? He literally scored a goal against Brentford last game, which was very underwhelming because he had so many chances in the double, but he also scored a brace against Everton. So, well, he's got 3 goals in his last 4 games. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's that concerning. Issue is all 3 of those cheap mids are on pens too. Exactly. Gordon is on pens temporarily, but it's still penalty duties. Captain Hwang Hee-chan this week. I don't think he's the best captaincy option, but he is one of the better ones. He's probably in the top 5, maybe. He's definitely in the top 10, maybe top 5. I'll probably try to think about it soon and give a definitive list, but I think there are better options, including Haaland, Watkins, Tony, I'd actually put above him. Saka as well. No worries, Sids. Dutta says, did Jota to Saka for 1 free transfer? Palmer, Richarlison to Hwang or Darwin to Solanke for a -4. Well, the Solanke transfer pays off regardless. I think he blanks this week, but against Burnley and the double in 28, great transfer. He's going to do well in those fixtures. But I would rather do... Yeah, if it was me personally, I would do Palmer to Hwang this week and bring in Solanke next week for Darwin Nunez. Yeah, welcome, Memi. Good to see you. Region or Wolves defender? I personally prefer Region because of the attacking potential, and he can feature, well, he is going to feature in Blank Gameweek 29, whilst Wolves are quite unlikely to. So if you're looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit, then I would go for Region. Will Estupiñán start? I think so, but that is obviously very loose. I have no inside information. I have Lascelles, Walker, Estupiñán, Gay, Van Dijk. Should I take a -4 for Lascelles? I have 3 million in the bank. I think Estupiñán starts, so I'd keep him this week if it was me personally, of course. Back your gut. But I would look to sell Estupiñán in 27 and beyond. Gross captain, not against that at all. And he's been in great form recently. Now, I don't know. It's a tricky one because Gross has been in incredible form. I do think the run will end very soon, of course. He's not going to return every single game. He was absolutely useless for me. I personally wouldn't captain Gross, but in terms of Brighton assets, he's probably the best one. Bang will flop, says Weising. Worth a -4 for goalkeeper, thinking Neto. Well, this week against Man City is an awkward time to take a hit for a goalkeeper, but in 27 against Burnley away, not so bad. I still think Burnley score, but then the double, 2 home fixtures against Sheffield United and Luton. Yeah, I think Neto does quite well overall with the saves and bonus points potentially. I don't think it's worth a -4 hit for a goalkeeper, especially if you've got Areola, even Dubravka as well. Sell Jota for Garnacho, Hwang Hee-chan, or Douglas Luiz. Hwang Hee-chan is my preference, but if you're looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 as well without the free hit, then I think Douglas Luiz is probably the best option. I bought in Solanke this game week, his price is going to rise. He already went up in price overnight. I sold him last week and I kind of regretted it, but now I'm going to stick through my strategy to be aggressive. I went for Tony. That's the only way I can really make the -4 hits that I've taken recently really pay off, because just going for Solanke again makes it all redundant. But good luck. I'm looking to bring in Solanke again very soon, probably in 28. 27, who knows? If an injury happens, it might just force the transfer a bit early. But Solanke is still a good option. If Bournemouth do score, he's very likely to be involved. Lascelles to which defender this week for a -4? Look, I don't think many defenders this week really justify a -4 hit. I think the best thing about defenders and taking hits for them is the long term. So if they also feature in Blank Gameweek 29, which I keep referring back to, then fair enough. A Reguilon or Pau Torres could be worth it from that perspective. Gabriel long term until the end of the season. Saliba as well. But yeah, I think for this week specifically, the best chance of the hit paying off would be a Wolves defender like Aït-Nouri. Captain Saka, he's currently my vice. I don't think I'm going to captain him in the end, but never say never. He is a good option, and Arsenal have a good record against Newcastle at the Emirates. Will De Bruyne start? Like I said earlier, my gut feeling is yes, but the comments yesterday weren't too encouraging from Pep Guardiola. He said that he isn't injured, but he's also not 100%. We will be there for the Saka captaincy haul. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest. Saka triple captain this week? No, I'd rather go for Solanke. 2 fixtures, better fixtures at that. And Solanke's on penalties, just like Saka, to be fair. But I just think Solanke is the better captaincy option for the triple in 28. At a point where I actually need KDB to be benched, otherwise I'm selling Gordon for Hwang. Yeah, good luck, Goldhead. Let's see if we get any information before the deadline. We've still got quite a long while to go. May transfer Matoma to Hwang for a -4, captaining him, and like it says in poker, all in, all or no thing, all or nothing. Yeah, good luck, Thomas. I wish you the best. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame with Matoma, but yeah, Hwang is a good replacement for him. Good morning to you as well, Elliot. I hope that you're well. Is it okay to play 10 this week, as I don't want to take a -4 hit for a defender? Then possible that he gets a clean sheet. I completely agree with you. I don't think many defenders justify a -4 hit this week. They might do in the long term, but not this week specifically. So yeah, I think 10 is fine. As long as you have most of the key options this week, you're in a good position. Not an issue, just means I have no money left, says Goldhead. Yeah, I get you. What would who'd you like more, Neto or Garnacho? Neto. Garnacho, though, is going up in my estimation. I think he is becoming a better FPL option and showing a bit more consistency. Nunez to Tony and Jota to Neto for me, and captaining Tony. Yeah, I've done similar transfers. The only difference is Jota to Hwang. I wish you the best. And captaining Tony, I think it could really pay off. Do you think Lascelles will start? No, because Fabian Schär is already fit. He's recovering and he's in training. So, yeah, Schär should start with Botman. Unless Newcastle go to a back 5 and go really defensive, and Lascelles could be brought in such a scenario. But unless that happens, I think Lascelles will be on the bench. Next week, KDB to Salah, if Salah plays on Sunday. I think he's going to play on Sunday, to be honest. I think a lot of these injured players right now, like Darwin and Salah, they'll be available. They'll feature in the Carabao Cup final. And yeah, by 27, Salah will play. The problem with Salah is he plays Man City in 28 and then he blanks in 29, most likely. So I do think the best time to buy him is 30, but an alternative time to buy him would be 27 against Forest, a really good option. I'm way behind him on Mini League. Should I captain Watkins as a punt? Only if you back him to do really well. Don't just captain someone for the sake of being different, although sometimes people do it without even thinking about it. But yeah, you ultimately just want to go for a player you really trust for the captaincy. And I think Watkins has proven his reliability over the course of the season. But yeah, I'd also be open-minded. You might have a Saka. He's another good captaincy contender. Ivan Toney as well. Even one of these Wolves midfielders. But yeah, I think Watkins is a good punt. Start Estupinian or Reguilon? I'd go for Estupinian because I personally think he starts. I have a full 11. Do I still remove Darwin and Jota for Solanke and Hwang Hee-chan? It depends. If it's for a -4 hit, then I'd say no. I would just stick to Jota to Hwang Hee-chan. But then again, you say you have a full 11, but does it comprise of a Taylor or maybe a Senesi, someone who doesn't look good this week? That's where things really come into play. Will Solanke score? I don't think so, and I'm hoping he doesn't. Abo, welcome. What do you think about Cash for the next 5 game weeks? I honestly don't like Cash much, but with all the injuries Aston Villa have, Konsa still being out, I think Cash is decent for the time being, at least in terms of minutes, but the returns have been awful. Since game week 3, really, when he got that brace against Burnley, it's been downhill ever since. So yeah, if you have Cash, I think he's a hold, but I wouldn't be buying Cash if I didn't have him. What about Kivior? I wouldn't go from an FPL because the likes of Sinchenko, Tomiyasu, and potentially Timber could be back very soon. Rumours of Foden benched. It's possible. I think the last time he got benched was against Bournemouth in the reverse fixture, so it wouldn't surprise me, and Pep can be frustrating with Pep Roulette. Is De Bruyne starting? I mentioned earlier that I think he will, but the comments yesterday weren't assuring, so I don't have the information. I'm just giving you an opinion. Had to burn my free transfer plus or -4 as Hojlund got injured. The 2 free transfers were Jota and Van Dijk to Hwang Hee-chan and Powell. Yeah, good moves, especially considering 29 with the case of Pau Torres, and Hwang Hee-chan is obviously everyone's cup of tea, it seems, this week. Not gonna lie, I'm tempted by a -8 to get an Arsenal midfielder in. You guys are playing so well, ignoring the Porto match. Yeah, I don't know what even happened there. No shots on target was obviously very, well, just shocking, embarrassing. But yeah, in the Premier League, Arsenal have done really well in this calendar year. But I don't know. The thing with Arsenal is when they lose, it can typically lead to 2, 3, 4 games without a win, sometimes even longer than that. And that's kind of my concern with Arsenal at times. They do go on these winless streaks, but they're still the favourites against Newcastle. I think Saka coupled with an Odegaard could work really well over the next couple of weeks, but having said that, I've mentioned this a few times in this stream. Odegaard can have a great game and not get any attacking contributions. Yeah, in terms of KDB being out, he's not officially ruled out. Pep Guardiola said this yesterday. But he also said KDB is not 100% and they will be tested before the game. Hi Dylan, who to bench, Alvarez or Foden? I mean, assuming they both start, I'd rather start Foden. But it's worth mentioning that Alvarez did score in the reverse fixture. No, sorry, in this corresponding fixture last season. And Alvarez has started every single game in the Premier League in this campaign. I think if there was one to be benched between Alvarez and Foden, it would be Foden. I'm not going to lie. But in terms of ceiling and assuming that they both start, I think Foden is my preference. Any chance Gay starts? I believe so. But yeah, a lot of these Crystal Palace assets, for example, like Eze and Elise, are officially ruled out for this week. So just looking at the recent comments, just bear with me for a second. Let's see. And by the way, be sure, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe for new. Let's get the stream to over 100. So yeah, the last update we got was quite a while ago. Yeah, no. In terms of Gay, it looks like he's ruled out until early March. So the latest we got is Mark has jarred his knee. It's a question of time until that jarring passes and he gets a full flexibility in his knee. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a particularly long injury. So yeah, he's still being assessed. There is a chance he features, but yeah, as things stand, it looks like he's going to be back in early March. That's what it looks like. Jota to Pedro Neto. Yeah, I think it's a decent transfer. I think David Moyes will leave at the end of the season. Makes sense. And look, he's already done a great job with them. Winning a trophy with West Ham is a massive achievement. So, yeah, I mean, how can you really top that? I have Ariella, Saliba, Ake, Saka, Foden, Gross, Gordon, Watkins, Haaland as 9 this week with Van Dijk and Mbama. Do you think I'll be fine with that? I think you'll be fine. It's not a guarantee that you'll avoid a red arrow, of course, but it might just be a marginal one. Now, in terms of your front line, it's as good as you can get this week. You know, the only way you improve it is with a third option like an Ivan Toney. The midfield looks solid, to be honest. It looks really good. It's close to a free-hit team, really. Yeah, I think you're fine. I think, you know what, if I had to hazard a guess, I think you get a small green arrow, even with just 9 players. Of course, due to sheer numbers, you're at a disadvantage. There's no denying that. But the players you have are pretty good. Danny says it will be for a -4. I have Taylor, Ake, Foden, Trippier, Stupinian, Gabriel, Haaland, Watkins, Saka and Gross. Yeah, good squad as well. I think Taylor and Stupinian, if benched, are the only kind of big concerns, but the rest looks really good. Is it worth selling Bodra for Watkins for a -4 to fill first 11, or just get Saliba for free for 10 players? Oh, that's a tricky one because Bodra can also be quite useful for 29, but so is Watkins. I personally think the Watkins move for a -4 is the best transfer for you. What are your thoughts on using the wildcard in 27? Yeah, look, I'm open-minded to it, but it ultimately depends on what happens in the FA Cup. So if it makes a situation where using the wildcard in 27 can really optimize Blank Gameweek 29 without using the free hit and then having a really good structure and foundation from Gameweek 30 until the end of the season, then I would consider using the wildcard in 27. But I think a lot depends on what happens in the FA Cup. If there are many shock exits, for example, or if there are not that many at all and we only have 3 or 4 fixtures. Why is no one considering Jacob Ramsey? Will play more minutes than Bailey and has higher goal threat than Luiz. To be honest, though, when you look at all 3 assets, Douglas Luiz is the best for bonus points. He's on penalties. At home in Villa Park, Douglas Luiz is as good as you can get. Only Watkins is arguably better in the Aston Villa ranks, really. And Jacob Ramsey, in terms of goal contributions, hasn't been that consistent this season compared to a Douglas Luiz or a Bailey. So I think it goes both ways. I think Ramsey is an underrated option. You're right to highlight him, but I do think Luiz still has the highest ceiling of the 3. Bailey's the most exciting because of the positions he picks up, but he's also, I'd say, the biggest risk in terms of minutes. I've had some bad players starting and 2 are not playing. Do you think I should wildcard? Depends on how many bad players you have. So if you only have like 3 or 4 good players this week and you're, really dissatisfied with the rest of your squad, then maybe. But yeah, ultimately, I don't know. It's really hard for me to judge that without knowing your team. But on the face of it, without knowing the context, I'd say save the wild card. Is Ake going to play? I think so. Watkins or Solanke? Watkins. Why Hwang Hee-chan over Neto? So, as I've said before, for me, Pedro Neto is a better player. In terms of creativity, he's much better than Hwang Hee-chan. You could argue he's also more consistent. But what I like about Hwang Hee-chan, higher ceiling. He's got by far the biggest goal threat in terms of XG, big chances, 12 compared to Neto's 2. And by the way, speaking of which, we might as well go through this now. So let's go to the stats comparison between Hwang Hee-chan and Pedro Neto. So as I just mentioned, the big chances, a huge difference there. Big chances created, Neto has double. Key passes as well, obviously in Neto's favour. But XG, Hwang Hee-chan has over double. Shots in the box are actually quite similar, same with shots and shots on target. But for me, when you're looking at a midfielder, having goal threat is much better and preferred over assist threat. And whilst both of them will score similarly from now until the end of the season, I do think Hwang Hee-chan's ceiling is higher over the next couple. And add on top of that, playing down the middle in Cunha's absence, potentially on penalties, especially when Sarabia isn't on the pitch, I'd rather go for Hwang Hee-chan as a result. But Neto is more of a differential now. I think going into this game week, before all the transfers were made, I think they had identical ownership. But now, of course, Hwang Hee-chan is going to be close to 10%, maybe even higher, which is a shame, but I think he's a really good option for the next couple. And before he went off to the Asian Cup, I think Hwang Hee-chan was on a really good run for Wolverhampton. I think he had, a 14-point haul in there against Brentford. He also got a return against Everton. So, yeah, I think Hwang Hee-chan has also been quite consistent as well in his own right, and I'd rather go for him over Pedro Neto. But it's actually funny you say that because I'm going to show you a few algorithms which do favour Pedro Neto. But first off, let's go to the fixture difficulty rating. Bournemouth are top. Arsenal, Aston Villa, West Ham and Burnley are in the top 5. Then if we look at the bottom teams there, Chelsea, Sheffield United, Everton, Liverpool and Man City. Even Spurs and Luton also in the bottom 7. Then if we look at predicted points, Haaland is top with 7.6 predicted points. Saka, Watkins, Tony and De Bruyne in the top 5. Garnacho, Bowen, Hwang Hee-chan, Bruno Fernandes and Solanke in the top 10. And to be honest, I think Bowen could become a really good option once again once Paqueta returns, which could be this week on Monday. If not, it would be in Game Week 27. Then if we look at projected price rises, Tony, Haaland, Flecken, Odegaard, Douglas Luiz and Hwang Hee-chan could all go up in price tonight. And remember, Hwang Hee-chan did go up in price yesterday or the day before that. So yeah, a lot of price changes are going to happen. Darwin, Richarlison, Zinchenko, Pedro Porro. Then you've got Colwill, Mudryk, Doggy, Gusto, Pinnock, Diogo Jota, all set to go down in price tonight as well. And there's going to be even more players added to this list too. If we look at Drafthound, they're now suggesting these changes. Solanke in for Darwin and Odegaard for Jota. But I've already made some changes, so Let's actually play around this and optimize the team. So they're now recommending Saka captain over Haaland. So that's changed. Now, to be fair, they've got the exact same number of predicted points for Game Week 26. But let's actually make some transfers and look at the player rankings in the process. So as you can see, Pedro Neto is right up there over the next 3 game weeks, and Gross is even higher. But Hwang Hee-chan isn't really favored by the Drafthound algorithm. So let's bring in Hwang Hee-chan for Jota. So let's see. We're going to go for Hwang Hee-chan. Yes. We're going for Hwang Hee-chan. And as you can see, you got a big breakdown here of expected points and a lot of other different stuff. I'm going to show you very soon the player scouting. But yes, what I'm going to do now is add Hwang Hee-chan. Transfer in. We're going to take out Diogo Jota. And I'm also going to bring in Tony. And I did do this from -4 hit. But yeah, a considerable difference in the expected points as well. Let's optimize the team here. And yeah, I've got Lascelles on the bench. That's all well and good. So as you can see, for this week specifically, I'm going to focus on that and compare the algorithm to the Fantasy Football Hub one. So Saka is top, Haaland as well. You've got Watkins, Odegaard, Trossard, Foden, Gross, Neto, Garnacho, and Rashford. Then you've got Bruno Fernandes, Sarabia, Hwang Hee-chan, quite low down in that list. Martinelli, Alvarez, Havertz, Tony, Bailey, White, Solanke, Gabriel. And there you go, even more Arsenal players. You've got Alex Moreno and Saliba. But one thing I want to show you very quickly is, of course, the fixture analysis in terms of chance of keeping a clean sheet. Bournemouth are top, and that's mainly down to the double in 28. You've got Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Brighton, and West Ham in the top 5. And also chance of scoring 2+ goals for the attacking potential. Quite a similar list, but you've got a few changes in the top 5 with Brighton, Man United, and Man City comprising that. And there's also the predicted lineups. So if we actually take a look quickly at Man City, which everyone's always interested in, we've got Ederson in goal, Walker, Akanji, Ruben Dias, Ake, Rodri, Stones, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, Foden, and Erling Haaland. So Drafthound are predicting De Bruyne to be benched, and they might well be right on that based on the comments by Pep Guardiola yesterday. But one new feature is player scouting. And let me know in the live chat if you want any players kind of, delved into. But let's click on Neto, for example, who's quite favoured by this algorithm. You've got a summary here of all the pros and cons of these players. You've got a performance review, projected points, upcoming game weeks. You've got everything broken down. Chance of a clean sheet, of scoring a goal, of assisting, of a hat-trick, yellow card, expected points, all of that in terms of value over the course of the season. You've got the role, which obviously changes depending on injuries and things that happen throughout the season. But Pedro Neto is a key man and as nailed as you can get. You've got the attacking data as well and much more. The defensive data, similar players. And as you can see, Sarabia is in here. But yeah, check out Drafthound. There are so many different tools and the player scouting is a new one. And I've been using it recently and I've also used it for my transfers. So be sure to check it out. And one other thing I want to show you are the polls. The captaincy one here with over 3,000 votes has Haaland top with 65% of the vote, Hwang Hee-chan second, Saka third, and Watkins in last. Then we've got pick your favourite Wolves midfielder. Hwang Hee-chan does lead that with 59% of the vote. Pedro Neto second with 37%. And Sarabia, a mega differential who could be on penalties. I think that's 16 penalties out of 16 in his career. And he's never missed one entirely. So yeah, the last poll I want to show you is this, the first one I put ahead of Blank Gameweek 26 actually. Would you take a -4 hit to buy one of these midfielders to field 11 players in Blank Gameweek 26? And 42% of you said go for Hwang Hee-chan. The second option was to not take the hit, and that's 22% of the vote. Douglas Luiz in third, and Gross in last, who's been incredible recently, and one of my FPL nemesis now. If we quickly look at FPL.Team before going back to your questions, this is how my squad could look like in Game Week 27. So I could bring in Heung-min Son, and that would be for either Cole Palmer or Anthony Gordon. But I'm quite open-minded about this. I could even roll the transfer and have 2 heading into double game week 28. But then, going into that double game week, the plan would be to buy Solanke. And if Luton Town have a fixture in 29 as well, in Blank Game Week 29, and I still want to navigate that without the free hit, I would bring in Alfie Doughty. But if Luton Town don't have a fixture, I might just go for a Bournemouth defender in Senesi with those 2 home games. And of course, the expected points does go up quite significantly as well. So things are still quite open in the air in terms of my transfer plans. But Solanke and Son are 2 players I've got my eye on for the next couple of weeks, that's for sure. Then a few things can change here and there. But ultimately, those are my plans. I'll delve into them in the upcoming team selection videos. But we've got just over an hour left until the deadline. So let's go back to my team and back to your questions. Drop a like on this video and also subscribe to the channel. Check out all the links. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all FPL and UCL fantasy updates. And you can become a channel member or patron and much more by clicking the links in the description below. Yeah, I got Hwang Hee-chan. Yeah, actually, a lot of the algorithms don't favour him that much. That is true. Fantasy Football Hub, Drafthound, even FPL.Team, I think is a bit more favourable, and they do prefer him over Pedro Neto. But yeah, I think with Hwang Hee-chan, I still think he's going to do well over the next couple, especially this week. Is Pedro Neto a free kick taker? He does take some, but I don't think he takes all of them. Then I bought Hojlund with a -4, unfortunately injured. Is a -8 worth it to bring in another player like Solanke or Hwang Hee-chan? Yes. With Solanke, it's worth it in the medium to long term, but not this week necessarily against Man City. I think Solanke will blank in Game Week 26. So in terms of the high ceiling this week, Hwang Hee-chan is the one. You could buy him. Then in terms of Solanke, you can transfer him in 27 or 28. But Hwang didn't play 4 games while Neto didn't play 9 games. That is true. That is true. In terms of the underlying numbers, that is very true. I think in terms of XG per 90, though, Hwang is still far better than Pedro Neto. But then the same goes for the expected assists in Neto's favour. Mateta, Bailey or Gross today on the free hit? I'd go for Gross. Best defender to get this week for Trent. I still like Saliba and Gabriel, but for this week specifically, it would have to be a Wolves defender. So Aït-Nouri, Dawson, Kilman. I wish we could play 2 goalkeepers, would make things a lot easier. I'm not sure about that because goalkeepers have been quite useless. So yeah, my preference would be to have, what, 3 or 4 forwards and maybe 6 midfielders, but you can't do that. -4 for Hwang Hee-chan and Solanke for Jota Nunez. Yeah, overall good transfers. As I've said before, though, I do prefer Tony this week over Solanke, but I understand why you're going for the Bournemouth striker. Replacement for Matoma. Yeah, I'd say still Hwang Hee-chan, Pedro Neto, Gross. It all depends on your Game Week 29 strategy as well, so that also influences your final decision. How much is Drafthound? They have different membership tiers, but the cheapest one is £2 per week. You can check that out and have all the tools at your disposal if you enjoy it, or if you see a noticeable progress in your FPL decisions and outcomes, then of course you can continue using it, and that is obviously what I've been doing since the summer. Raya or Dubravka to start? Raya. Do you still remember which I did poorly in the first half of the season? I actually stepped up into 600k recently with all the chips still remaining. That's good. And yeah, of course, there's still a long way to go. I've always said this to you and to many others. You know, even if you're 15, 20 game weeks in, there is still a long way to go. All the doubles and blanks could lead to huge variance. So let's see if we can keep on pushing. Richarlison to Hwang or keep Richarlison? Depends how many players you have this week, and if you have a full 11, are they good players? Do you have Senesi this week or Taylor? That also depends. Borro to Lenglet? Not Lenglet. I'd rather go for Pau Torres. Even Alex Moreno would be above him. Would you do Solanke in for Darwin for a hit and bench Taylor? Yes, because ultimately Solanke pays off that hit in 27 and 28, but I'm not that keen on Solanke for this week specifically, to be quite honest with you. Is Dalot a good punt? Yes, he features in my best free hit team and also my wildcard squad. Taylor plays? I think so. He obviously got a cameo appearance very recently, but yeah, I think he starts. Richarlison or Palmer to Hwang for a -4? I'd rather sell Richarlison, but having said that, if you are looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit, it might be better for you personally to sell Palmer. United says Hwang Hee-chan, Neto, Garnacho, choose 2. Probably Hwang Hee-chan and Neto, but Garnacho is still a decent option. I'm more favourable towards him than I was a couple of weeks ago. Thoughts on Region? West Ham's XG is down bad. True, but Lucas Paqueta could be back this weekend, and that is massive, especially for Bowen. But yeah, with Reguilon, I think the main appeal is that he features in 29 against Burnley away, and he's also got good fixtures from 32 until the end of the season. So Reguilon could be a good transfer in even now. I'm not expecting a clean sheet for Brentford, but I think Brentford are the favourites to win. Pau Torres or Moreno? Pau Torres, in my opinion, if you're looking to navigate 29, because he's safer. By that stage, you could have Moreno being benched and rotating with Luka Dean with the Europa Conference League coming into play. Start Walker or Solanke. I'd probably still go for Solanke because there is a chance Walker's benched. Now, if we get confirmation of Walker starting, I'd definitely change my tune and go for Walker. So it depends on any leaks we get. If Walker's confirmed to start, I'd go for him. Odegaard or Gross? This week, Gross. I think this week, Gross. If you're free hitting in 29, what would be your two top assets for this week? One of Hwang Hee-chan or Pedro Neto. And to be honest, I'd still go for Ivan Toney. Now, hold up. So if I could just say absolutely anybody, of course, Haaland goes without saying. But yeah, I'd probably say Saka and Hwang Hee-chan, for example. Hojlund, who is the second best Bournemouth attacker? Probably Tavernier. It's not a great list. How many goals will City score? 3 or 4 for me. My current prediction is 3-1 Man City. You think Estupinian will start? Yes. Hojlund to Muniz? I mean, he does feature in 29. He's a budget striker in good form. I'd still rather go for Toney. Toney or Solanke. Watkins if you don't have them. Pau Torres and Moreno I've covered. Solanke or Alvarez. This week Alvarez. Long term, or at least until Gameweek 29, Solanke. So yeah, it's kind of a difficult one because if you've got Alvarez, keep him, then sell him to Solanke in 27. If you've got Solanke, don't sell him, of course. It goes without saying. So I want to be very clear about that. I'm happy if I could finish inside 100k. To be honest, though, 100k is a very good achievement nowadays. It's much more difficult to do that now than it was 5 years ago. I took a -4 for Saka and got in Hwang Hee-chan. Yeah, looks absolutely fine to me. Obviously, I'm guessing you sold the likes of Jota and maybe Palmer, but looks good. Hi, Dylan. Mateta or Ivan Toney this week? Toney all day long. Odegaard or Mateta? I'd still go for Odegaard. Is there a free version of Drafthound? You can try out the tools for free, but you won't have full access to them. So, for example, in terms of the predicted lineups, you can see all of them, but you can't see the expected minutes and also the roles of each player. And in terms of player rankings, you can see some of the top 10, but not all of them, maybe 3 or 4. And once you do, pay for at least, £2 per week or something like that, then you'll be able to have access to every single tool. Dallo over Ake, going Moreno, Dallo and Gabriel. Yeah, that's fine. I'm a bit less keen on United assets now following the Hojlund injury, but more so with the attackers. What position do you think Mbappe plays in Madrid? Down the middle. I still think he plays down the middle. Vinicius on the left, Rodrigo right. And of course, sometimes they can play Valverde as a right winger. But yeah, it's a good attacking line on paper. I do think Vinicius, obviously, good player for Madrid. I don't think he's that good on the international stage. But yeah, Mbappe is going to be, well, just a killer signing for them. It goes without saying. Buy a new defender or stick with Taylor and Walker? I'd probably stick with Taylor and Walker for now. But it depends on a few factors. If you can do it for free, I'm not against buying a defender. But from -4 and above, I think that's where things get a bit sticky. Ala Madrid puts his team. What would be an ideal transfer for 26? One player's blanking. Okay. Let's see, by the way, how this is working. Okay, that's all good. Okay, so Ariella in goal. Robinson, Maguire, Walker. You did put Walker twice. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be another player. KDB, Gordon, Saka, Haaland, Toney, and Morris. An ideal transfer for 26. I think Watkins is the biggest gaping hole in your team. So if you can do Morris to Watkins, that is perfect. Gabriel or Pau Torres? This week, Pau Torres looks better, but Gabriel for me is just a great option long-term, beyond Gameweek 29 as well. So I'm going to stick with Gabriel. Take a -4 for Bowen and plan for 29 or play Taylor for free. I'd take a -4 for Bowen. If you're set on not free hitting in 29, I'd take the hit for Bowen. Milner puts his team as well. Hojlund to Solanke for a -4 was the move. Don't expect too much this week. Just hoping for a clean sheet after a while. A clean sheet. But yeah, good team. Good team overall. Doesn't look too bad, actually. If you did that, oh yeah, for a -4. still, it's possible to get a green arrow, I think. Triple captain, not this week. If you still have it, congratulations. I'd probably save it for 28 on Solanke. I definitely wouldn't use it this week, to be honest. I want to say Saka, Vinicius clear. No, I'm not going to say that. On the Champions League stage, Vinicius is obviously much more proven. On the international stage, it goes the other way. Saka's much better, but yeah, I wouldn't say clear. But I do prefer Saka personally. I think he's more of an all-round player, but of course, I think most people would say Vinicius is the better option. Jovan14 says, hi Dylan, what to do with KDB? Seems like he's not starting. Already have Saka, Gordon, Palmer, Gross. Yeah, a lot of predicted lineups don't have KDB. The updates yesterday weren't very encouraging. It makes sense. What to do with KDB? I'd still hold on and wait for leaks, which we could get within the next half an hour or so. And of course, if he starts, you keep him this week, then sell in 27 or 28. But ultimately, KDB is always going to be a concern for you, especially with Champions League and FA Cup matches in between. Hwang Hee-chan as captain. I'm not completely against it, but he's not my favourite this week. Best replacements for Van Dijk, I have Gabriel and Estupinian. I would probably go for one of Dalot, Region, or Pau Torres. Now, if you're looking to navigate 29 without the free hit, which I've said so many times today, then I would focus on a Region or Pau Torres. What ranking is captain for Hwang Hee-chan? Good question. Okay, so if I had to definitively break it down, it would be Haaland first, Saka second. I'd probably put Watkins third still. Whoever starts out Foden or KDB would be fourth. In fifth, I would go for Tony. In sixth, I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan. I think that's the way I'd go about it. I might be forgetting somebody, to be fair, but that is, off the top of my head, my kind of ranking. So Hwang Hee-chan around fifth or sixth best captain this week. No worries, Gilarossi. Kenback says, hi Dylan, have transferred Saka in for Jota and can field 10 players. Is it worth Solanke in for Darwin -4, even though Darwin has Nottingham Forest next game week? Yeah, and Darwin did well against them in the reverse fixture, but Forest have got one of the best defensive records in the last 6 game weeks. Only Arsenal have got better. So yeah, Saka in, absolutely fine. Solanke in for Darwin -4. I still think it's worth it because of 27 and 28, where Solanke will outscore Darwin Nunez. Bowen, Hwang Hee-chan and Neto choose two. I'd probably go for Hwang Hee-chan and Bowen. Also thinking about Game Week 29 as well. Abdullah says, thank you for the advice. If I don't do Solanke for Darwin, -4 and bench Taylor. This week I plan to do it for free next week anyways. Yeah, that's fair. In that case, I'd probably just do it for free next week because I personally think Solanke blanks this week. Of course, some people may disagree. Now, I wouldn't go that far. Now, Vinicius, yes, his main asset is pace, but he's also a good dribbler. But yeah, I don't know. Look, football's down to opinions. I personally don't rate Vinicius as other people do, and I've got Vinicius in my UCL fantasy team. Why did I do that? Who knows? But yeah, I wouldn't say he's a pace merchant, but I don't think he's as good as people make him out to be. For example, compare him to previous Brazilian wingers, I think he's nowhere near them, including Neymar. Play Solanke or Gordon? I'd play Gordon this week. Bench Trippier or Estupinian? Tricky, but based on my assumption that Estupinian starts, I'd bench Trippier, which could be a disaster, but that's my personal opinion. Solanke or Alvarez? I'd rather go for Alvarez this week. Solanke is by far the better option in 27 and 28, though. So, once again, I've made my feelings clear on that subject, but for this week, it'd be Alvarez. The Lascelles or Bordeaux for 8 Nuri? I'd sell the Lascelles. Bordeaux could be quite useful for you in Game Week 29. What should I do with Trippier? 1 free transfer. Trippier's an awkward one because he's been doing okay, but Newcastle aren't keeping clean sheets, and ultimately for a defender that expensive, you need those clean sheets to come through. I think with Trippier, if you can sell him to, let's say, a Pau Torres, Region, Saliba, Gabriel, yeah, I think the transfer does pay off in the next couple of weeks, to be fair. So yeah, one of those defenders, absolutely fine. Even Dalot or a Wolves defender this week looks good. If you have 11 players already, would you do Diaz to Hwang for -4 to bench Taylor? I personally would, but it's not necessary because you've got 11. Taylor might not be great, but it is Crystal Palace they're facing, who aren't that good. But with a new manager bounce, I am expecting Palace to score maybe 2 goals. So yeah. Who's your favourite player of Real Madrid? That's a great question. I mean, historically, that's not what you're asking, but I mean, looking over the years, I think Modric and Kroos are probably my favourites. Right now, Yeah, I'd probably go with Modric then. I'm probably going to stick with Modric. Players that I like from the new generation, so to speak, Valverde, I think is an all-round midfielder. And yeah, Bellingham. Bellingham, of course, how could you not like him? But yeah, I think those are my favourite players. If I had to pick one, probably Modric. Hwang Hee-chan, captain. Like I said, he's 5th or 6th in my ranking. He's still really high. Back your gut if you're, really confident about him doing well. But I just think there are better options this week. Who's a good replacement for Cunha since he's injured? Tony. Tony and Solanke go without saying. Watkins. Those are the three you really want. Of course, you also want Erling Haaland. So how do you fit all of them in? I think right now, Tony, Watkins, Haaland is the best play, and then bring in Solanke for Haaland in 28. Any De Bruyne news? Not news, nothing new from yesterday, but a lot of predicted lineups don't have him in the starting 11. So yeah, thank you to those that have been tuning in for such a long time. If you haven't already smashed the like button, we are 9 away from 100. It'd be greatly appreciated. Let's be sure to rack up the likes much more than that. And yeah, we've covered everything we need to in terms of predicted points and all of that. Good luck to you as well, Abdullah. Tamisha says, hi Dylan, what to do with Jota? Already have Saka, Hwang, KDB and Foden. Also have a full 11 with Taylor on the bench. What to do with Jota? Sell him. I mean, either in 26 or 27. You've already got a full 11. If you're happy with that full 11, then fine. But let's say, for example, KDB's benched now. I think you would need that coverage. So you either sell KDB or Jota. Looking at players that could be quite useful to you, I think Bowen springs to mind, Odegaard, Pascal Gross as well. Yeah, I'd probably get one of them for Jota still. Will we get any team news for Burnley? For Burnley, I don't think so. Man City's more likely. Yeah, I'm not so sure if we'll get that for Burnley. Hey, Dylan, hope all is well. I've been busy lately. No worries, Safir. Good to see you as always. Plan for a Richarlison or Palmer. I've mentioned this before. What's your Game Week 29 plan? Are you free hitting? If you are, then I'd rather sell Richarlison. If you aren't playing the free hit and you want to navigate Game Week 29, then I'd keep Palmer and sell Richarlison. DNNN says, hi Dylan, I have 9 players plus Concert, Borro, Palmer, Richarlison, Doughty. I already used my free transfer for Jota to Bowen. Please advise of any 2 hits or 1 hit, if any. I think 1 hit would be enough. You don't need to take 2. So Jota to Bowen makes sense. Another transfer you could make. Yes, because all of your players, well, Borro and Richarlison will feature in 29. Palmer won't, to be fair. Is a good option in 27 and 28. I think what I'd do is Palmer to Hwang Hee-chan for a hit. Or even Pedro Neto, depending on your preference. Gross as well. Thank you, Sophia, as always. Weiseng says, yes, look at Brazil in the World Cup. They fully rely on Neymar's individual quality to carry these kids. Yeah, and Neymar's actually hated by a lot of Brazilians, which is quite crazy. He did win the Olympic gold medal, and he also won the Confederations Cup. But yeah, very unlucky to miss out on their Copa America win a couple of years ago. Yeah, for me, Neymar is one of the best Brazilian players on the international stage, really, but he doesn't have the trophies to maybe back that up. But yeah, Neymar for me is way better than Vinicius. Neymar's unique, although I'm not a fan of him. Yeah, especially when he had his, diving antics, very frequently. But as a player, you can't really hate him, in my opinion. Texas Coach says, Concert to Taylor and Bowen to Saka. Concert to Taylor, not a big fan of that. I'm not so sure about your transfers. So, yeah, selling Concert isn't a bad idea. He could be useful for 29, but he's still injured right now. Taylor, I don't really think that's worth it. Bowen to Saka, yeah, looks great for this week. I'm all for it, and even for 27 and 28. But Paqueta's coming back. Bowen could become a good option, and you might want him back for Game Week 29. So just think about that. But, yeah, if I had to pick one transfer, it would be Bowen to Saka. Valverde versus Odegaard, completely different players, to be honest. Valverde is more of an all-rounder. Odegaard's a creator, a number 8. Valverde is kind of all over the place, but I don't really think they're kind of similar in terms of playstyle. Would Vinicius Jr. leave Real Madrid? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think he would. Lascelles to which defender? Pau Torres, Dawson, Kilman, or Nuria for a -4. Look, so just to kind of break it down again, because I don't think there are many standout defenders, with the exception of Arsenal choices. If you want a defender for this week to pay off with the best chance of a clean sheet, then I would go for Nuri or one of those Wolves defenders. But if you're looking to cover 29 without the free hit, Pau Torres is the best option, and that's it. -4 to get Solanke. it pays off in 27 and 28, so I'm not completely against it. I personally think Slanky blanks this week, though, and that's why I went for Tony. I forgot to mention I'm on free hit 29 regarding that Lascelles and Bodro situation. Yeah, so if you're free hitting there anyway, fair enough, fair enough. If funds are no issue, though, I would rather have Bodro in 27 against Crystal Palace at home compared to a Lascelles, who is pretty useless in my opinion. So, yeah, my answer would still be the same, unless funds are a big issue by keeping Bodro. Slanky not worth a hit for me, fair enough. I just think when you also take into account 27 and 28, it is worth it, but I understand what you're saying. In 26, I don't think he scores. I think he blanks. So, yeah, I think you might be right in terms of this week specifically. I started Kobo on UCL Fantasy, but then he pulled out in the warm-up, and I didn't find out before the game started. Yeah, I had some on the bench. I still got 61 points, though, with Mbappe captain. Yeah, I think I also got 61 points, but I didn't have Mbappe. If I did bring him in, I would have captained him, and that would have been a massive difference. But yeah, overall, UCL Fantasy, very competitive, very tough, fine margins at this stage. But I think it was quite a low-scoring week now. But now going into match day 8, there's going to be a lot more home fixtures for people because you're stacking up on teams that finish first in the groups. It should look much better next week. Yeah, I think so fair. He started every single Premier League game for Man City, the only player to have done so. Talk me into captaining Hwang. I'm not even sure I'm there myself to really do that. No, James, there are some rumours that have been circulating from yesterday that Estupinian will start, but I'm not so sure how reliable they are. Yeah, Abdul, look, Estupinian's been frustrating to say the least. I think he starts personally, but if I could, I'd look to sell him very soon in 27 or 28. So yeah, there's no team leaks that have happened today, as far as I'm aware. Taylor or Estupinian to start. I'd go for Estupinian still, but I do recognise it's risky in terms of minutes. Do I still bring in Pau Torres because I still have Konsa on my team because he's injured? I wouldn't do it for a hit, but if you can do it for free, yeah, that's absolutely fine. The thing is with Konsa, though, look, if you've got full 11 now, you're happy with it, you can easily bench Konsa, that's fine. I think that would be the best play. Zico was better than Neymar. True, but that was obviously before my time. You might be right. But I think Neymar is quite underrated by Brazilians in general because not just the goals and assists, which the record is quite staggering. And at one point, it was very similar to Messi's until Messi went ballistic in the last couple of years. But yeah, look, Brazil have had so many players. They really have. And that's why this generation pales in comparison. One of my other players I forgot is Gordon. Yeah. Not the best option this week on paper, but on penalties, and I still think Arsenal could concede a goal or two here. Good wildcard team. Flecken, Neto, Gabriel, Pau Torres, Nuri, Reguilon, Senesi, Saka, Bowen, Hwang Hee-chan, Luis, Son, Watkins, Haaland, Tony. Yeah. It's actually quite similar to what I talked about in my wildcard video. I think Nuri and Flecken are different from the recent addition, and Senesi as well. Yeah, overall, good team. Good team. I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, and you can bring in Solanke for Haaland in 28. I think that is probably the best thing to do. I expect Wolves to score 3+ goals. Well, this is the thing. Hwang is by far the biggest goal threat. He's got 10 goals for the season. Neto's got 2. But Neto will be creating those chances and getting the assists. So, look, I think they're both good options. There's not much to separate them. But with Hwang playing down the middle, potentially being on penalties, especially when Sarabio's not on the pitch, and also having by far the biggest goal threat, I think Hwang is the better option. People overrate the importance of defenders this season. All the points are in the midfield and attack. Yeah, and to be honest, historically in FPL and any fantasy format, you know, defenders can be quite good, and they were better before. There's no denying it. But midfielders and forwards is where the points are at. It's always like that. Do you believe it's worth a straight swap with Bailey for Hwang when I have Watkins already? Wait, so you're selling Bailey for Hwang? I'm not so sure about that, to be honest, because Bailey's a good option this week. And he also could help you navigate Blank Gameweek 29. I'm not entirely sure. Buy Adingra or Neto? I prefer Neto. Adnan says I only have 10 players, 1 missing defender, took a -8 last week. Should I take a -4? Not for a defender, no. Not for me. The only way that pays off is if you're going to start him in 27 and 28, or if they help you navigate Blank Gameweek 29. Otherwise, I just don't think a -4 hit for a defender this week is worth it on paper. Start Pickford or Areola? I would start... Good question. I would probably go for Pickford. Pickford? Yeah, I think just about. Augusto, Richarlison, Jota, Saliba, Hwang, Neto, Douglas Luiz, good transfers. Yes, You might want Richarlison back fairly soon, but overall good transfers. I have no problems with that whatsoever. And my preference is Hwang over Neto, as I've discussed earlier. Jota to Hwang or Van Dijk to Power Wolves defender this week, or do I do both for a -4? Jota to Hwang is my favourite move, to be honest. Higher ceiling, it's for free. You don't need to take a hit for a defender. When I'm seeing Joelinton and Emerson Real starting for Brazil, you know levels have fallen. Yeah. And even in recent World Cups, they've had some random fullbacks play. Yeah. And look, to be honest, look, people always rate Brazil anyway, even when they're at their weakest. I think in 2014, they were also really poor. They were very lucky to reach the semi-finals. They got found out by Germany. But yeah, look, Brazil will be back. Hopefully not, but I think they will be. Bring in Hwang for Richarlison for a -4. Close one, but I'd probably go for it if it means you then get an 11. If you've already got a full 11 and you're happy with it, I don't think it's necessary. Gordon and Aït-Nouri or Estupiñán and Hwang? Probably Estupiñán and Hwang, but Estupiñán is a sell very soon. There's no denying that. Gameweek 27, would you bring in Luis Diaz, Gakpo, Bradley? No. Against Forest, it might pay off, but then Man City in 28, a blank in 29, I'm not really interested. I think with Liverpool assets, I'll be buying them in from Gameweek 30 onwards, and Salah would become the priority. Is triple up on Villa, Watkins, Luis, Pau Torres a good option? Yes, especially this weekend in 29. Yeah, I think 2 free Villa players helps you navigate the blanks very well, but yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge fan of Pau Torres or Douglas Luiz, to be honest. They're good options. They're decent, especially Douglas Luiz. But yeah, Watkins for me is by far the best, and he is the only one I consider to be an elite FPL asset. Start Estupiñán or Trippier. I'd go for Estupiñán because I personally think he will start. That isn't guaranteed, though. I'm in the same situation. I have 10 playing players in Lascelles and unsure if I should play a -4. Yeah, look, I personally did it. I took a -4 hit. I benched Lascelles, who I don't think is going to get any minutes. If Fabian Schär was ruled out, then Lascelles, yeah, he easily would have started. And you never know, Newcastle could have dug deep and got another clean sheet at the Emirates. But yeah, I think it ultimately depends on which players you're bringing in, who you're selling for the -4. If you're selling Jota to Hwang, I think it is worthwhile. Then you bench Lascelles, but it's all team dependent. When to get Salah? Gameweek 30 against Brighton, probably the best captaincy option that week. And good fixtures to round off the season. Also a potential double later down the line as well. Would you sell De Bruyne for a hit if benched? It's close, but I probably would. Now, De Bruyne can do well off the bench. He got a return against Everton, also against Newcastle, goal and assist to change the game. But yeah, I think I would, especially for a Saka. I've heard the news that West Ham are going to smash their records and get Solanke in the summer. Yeah, he has been heavily linked to the Hammers. Let's wait and see if there's any truth to it, but let's wait and see. I mean, I'm just trying to think with Solanke. He's doing really well this season, but is West Ham really? I don't know. It might be a good move for him, but I'm just not entirely sure. Should I sell Palmer instead of Richarlison, maybe? If you're looking to navigate 29 without the free hit, then yes, I would sell Palmer. But if you are free hitting in 29, who do I prefer in 27 and 28? Probably Palmer. -4 for a defender or play with 10. For a defender, I'm not that keen. I'd probably just play with 10. If I don't sell Van Dijk this week, I only have 2 defenders, Van Dijk, Doughty and Konsa. I get you. But like I said, hits for defenders, it's just, look, we're not buying in Trippiers with plum fixtures. We're not buying Trents and defenders with a lot of attacking potential and a good fixture. We're kind of limited in our options. Saliba and Gabriel are 2 of the best defenders on offer, but they're facing Newcastle at home. Trumikid says, check out El Salvadorian player from the 80s and 90s, Jorge Mágico González. Maradona rated him as the best player in South America. I saw something about that once. I did see something about that. I actually forgot the name, so I'll try to have a look after. Now, getting Salah next week for KDB? I mean, up to you. Fair enough. Play the game the way you want. That's absolutely fine. I do like Salah for 27, but I just think with the Man City fixture 28, a likely blank in 29, I still think the best time to buy him is 30. That's just my take. Party on the bench, it's possible. It is possible. Would you sell Palmer for Hwang for a hit? If you don't have a full 11 or you're not happy with a player in your starting 11 like Lascelles, then yes, I would do it. Triple Everton defence, or should I remove an Everton defender for Estupiñán? Wow. No, don't buy Estupiñán. I mean, I think he starts this week, but he's ultimately a sell. In 27 or 28, whenever you can, I think Estupiñán is just bye-bye. He's an awful asset with the minutes involved. I would probably just keep what you have in terms of Everton defenders. I mean, you could maybe instead go to a Saliba or Gabriel, a Wolves defender. I think that's the best way to go about it. Even Region or a Pau Torres, Alex Moreno. I wouldn't go for a Stupinian. Hero Bale or Icon Bale. Yeah, I don't really play FET like that to comment on that. Thank you very much, Trinix, as always. Massively appreciated. Best Brazilian side not to win the World Cup was the 1982 team. Yeah, I've heard about that as well. That is true. I didn't see them, to be honest, but Brazil have had so many good teams in the past. And look, they were hyped up in the last one. You know, a lot of people said they're going to win it, especially after they beat South Korea 4-1, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I just look at their team and I see a lot of average players, even Richarlison up front. I mean, come on, it's a huge downgrade. Why Haaland is a better captaincy option than Saka? I mean, it's all subjective, isn't it? But with Bournemouth and Man City, I mean, the record is absolutely staggering. Man City have scored 14 in the last 3 games against the Cherries. And I also think with Saka, look, with Arsenal, they just lost against Porto, but before that, they were on a great run. But that one loss could easily turn into 2 or 3 in a row. Arsenal tend to do this, or they go 1 win in 5 or 6, and it could become a really big rut to get out of. And I also look at Newcastle. I know they've been conceding a lot of chances, but I also think they're going to try to frustrate Arsenal, sit, park the bus, and just really frustrate Arsenal, have the ball not in play for that long. And I think Arsenal could really struggle, actually, more than what people believe. So I do think Saka's a great captaincy option on paper, but I also think Newcastle's game plan could really determine how that turns out. I just think Haaland's the better captaincy option, higher chance of scoring. Bournemouth, yes, they've been, well, I wouldn't say good recently. They've got, no wins in the last 6 games, something like that. And yeah, I just think they're there for the taking against Man City. Why not Neto over Hwang? I've covered this before, but just to briefly recap, goal threat over assist potential. I prefer the goal threat. Potential on penalties, especially when Sarabi's not on the pitch, and also playing down the middle. So yeah, I've covered that to death before. Hey Dylan, best defender 4.2 million or under? Probably Maguire, right? If he's still at 4.2. Let me double check that. Yeah, I'd say Maguire would be my favourite. I'll try to give you another option, but I'm not going to guarantee that. So, yeah, so Maguire is the first one to spring to mind. I think Branthwaite is okay, to be fair. He's a decent option. But yeah, I'd probably stick with Maguire. He's my favourite of the lot. So yeah, we are very close to 100 likes. Be sure to do it. Not sure how we haven't done it already, but yeah, it'll be massively appreciated. And we've got less than an hour left until the deadline. We've covered hundreds of questions as always. Darwin to Solanke or Richarlison to Hwang, both for a -4, or take a -8 for the 2. I have 9 starters. I would probably do Richarlison to Hwang for free, and do Darwin to Solanke next week for free. I don't think Solanke returns this week, and that's why I would delay the -4 hit or the transfer to next week. What I meant was have Estupinian on the bench, so should I bring him in? Yeah, I mean, I think he starts. I personally would bring him in if you have him. My other 2 defenders are Trippier and Saliba. I need a 4-man defence to field in 11. Yeah, I mean, it's all subjective. His minutes have been a big concern recently, but I personally think he does get the nod this time out. Van Heck says, James, yeah, look, Van Heck is a decent enabler. Over the next 3, he looks okay. I still don't fully trust Brighton defensively. If news comes that KDB is benched, would you take a -4 for Hwang? Yeah, I probably would in that case. Thank you, K-Man. Hey, I made a few bad calls by bringing in Salah and taking a -8 hit. Only have 10 starters. Do I still remove Palmer to Hwang Hee-chan? Can't afford Neto. Well, yeah. What, you bought Salah in this week or last week? If it was last week, it's not that bad. I probably would go to Hwang Hee-chan, yeah, I would. Hey Dylan, best defenders to free hit. Check out my best free hit team video. It's all covered there. But to summarize, Dallo, Ake, Wolves defenders like Ait Nouri, Gabriel would be right up there. Pau Torres, Van Heck as an enabler. Yeah, it's all covered there. So if you don't go for Jose Sarr in goal, I would go for a Wolves defender. Free hit 29, yes or no? It's team dependent. But for me personally, I'm still looking to navigate it without the free hit. But the results next week in the FA Cup could really determine what my final plans are. I might just save the free hit for 34, 37. That's what I want to do. But yeah, ultimately, if there are many upsets or if there are not that many in general and I'm struggling to get to 11 or a good number of players of high quality, I might just end up free hitting there anyway. Do you think KDB will play? I said earlier that I think he does, but yeah, the more I think about it, I'm just not sure. I don't think so. Most predicted lineups I've seen don't have KDB in the starting 11. So I shouldn't transfer out Van Dijk for a -4 this week. Like I said, I don't like taking hits for defenders this week unless they also help you navigate 29 as well, and you're not going to play the free hit there. Or if you're going to play this defender in 27 and 28 and they look really good, maybe an Arsenal defender, that sort of hit can pay off. But for this week specifically, I just don't see that much. Ashraf says, hey Dylan, I want to remove KDB for Saka and Darwin for Watkins for a -4 hit. I have Foden. Yeah, I would do it if KDB is benched and we get confirmation of that. And ultimately, Saka should outscore KDB by 4 points or more over the next 3 game weeks anyway. Should I wildcard this game week or wait? You don't need to wait necessarily for 35. You can wildcard in 30 or 31. You could even wildcard next week, but my preference would be to save the wildcard because you'll have a lot more clarity in terms of the FA Cup 5th round results impacting Blank Gameweek 29 next week heading into Gameweek 27. So a much better time to wildcard would be 27 compared to now. So just wait for the FA Cup results, see if that impacts your plans. Then you could decide, do I wildcard in 27 or later in the season? And that's completely up to you. Kratos says, I have a full 11 for this game week, playing 4-3-3 system. Do you recommend taking a -4 by selling Jota so I can play a 3-4-3 system instead, or hold transfer next game week so I can get a Spurs mid? Depends which players we're talking about. It's not just about the formation. That's really irrelevant unless, you know, it facilitates a great option in the midfield or something like that. So which midfielder would you have with the 4 midfielders? And which, you know, defender would you have with the 4? I'm not so sure. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. Pau Torres for a -4 says full. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. I'd say no. My personal opinion is no. If you aren't free hitting in 29, you could make a case for it because it navigates 2 blank game weeks for you, and that's pretty useful, even for a -4 hit. Best defenders this week, check out the best wildcard and free hit team videos. I've covered that. Rice versus Bruno G battle today. Who do you think what will happen? I mean, it's not just about those two. You're right. Sometimes there are some duels that can determine games, but it's also Odegaard and Havertz, whoever plays next to Rice, and also you've got the other Newcastle midfielders. But I think no Joelinton is a massive miss for Newcastle. For me, Rice is the better player than Bruno Guimaraes, but you never know. Bruno can get one over Rice, you know, this weekend. And Bruno, I don't know, he does seem to rise to the occasion against Arsenal. He is a bit of a bastard, to be honest. He's quite a dirty player. Let's wait and see what happens, but I personally think Rice will get the better of him. Douglas Luiz or Garnacho for my wildcard draft. For my wildcard draft, I'd go for Douglas Luiz to help cover 29 as well. I think KDB will come on after 70 minutes. It's possible, and he could still get something off the bench. Best centre-back transfer, Gabriel Saliba. Obviously, you can get any defender. You can get Nuri, whoever you want to. But yeah, I'm just not sure what your plan is for 29. A lot of these questions, of course, I'm trying to answer them as specifically as possible, but they also do depend on other factors. And look, off the top of my head, for me, the best defenders are Gabriel and Saliba. So that's my kind of top picks. Not specifically for this game week, but for 27 and 28 and for the rest of the season. Danny says, do I get Solanke and Hwang Hee-chan for Darwin and Jota for a -4 or only get Hwang Hee-chan or roll? So you've got Ake, Stupinian, Taylor, Gabriel, Trippier, Foden, Saka, Gross, Haaland, Watkins. Oh, so yeah, if you take the -4 hit, you'd bench Taylor and you'd get Hwang Hee-chan and also Solanke. I'd personally just get Hwang Hee-chan this week for Jota and get Solanke in next week for free. That's my take, Danny. I'd probably wildcard now and use free in 29. The thing is, though, I mean, look, that also can work out, but it's all team dependent ultimately. It really is team dependent. Top 2 Aston Villa defenders, Pau Torres and Alex Moreno. I have 11 starters, including KDB, but no Hwang. But is it worth taking a -4 to getting Hwang for KDB or Palmer? Yes, especially if KDB is benched. In the case of Palmer, I still like him for 27 and 28, but I still think a hit for Hwang is worth it. If KDB is benched I change him to Arsenal midfielder. Yeah, if KDB's benched, then fair enough, but you're already on a -8 already. Yeah, if you're taking a -12 here, that's really excessive, I think, this week. Adam Jr. says, hi Dylan, hope you're well. Just want to know who's the best 7 million and below midfielder option, currently considering Neto, Hwang, Douglas Luiz and Garnacho. I've personally gone for Hwang, but there's not much to separate all of them. There's also Gross, who deserves more recognition. But yeah, my favourite will be Hwang. Which pick is better, Powell or Moreno this week? Moreno. The reason why I recommend Powell more so than Moreno is because of Game Week 29, if you're looking to navigate that without the free hit. And yeah, Moreno by that stage could rotate with Luka Dean, with the Europa Conference League also coming into play between Game Week 27 and 28. Aditya says, who to captain amongst Saka, Tony, Hwang Hee-chan, Garnacho, Foden? Well, Saka's my vice, so that would be my answer, but I'd be really tempted by Tony. What's the news on Salah's injury? I don't think there's anything concrete. He still has a chance of starting this weekend, according to the assistant manager of Liverpool. I think he's going to start against Chelsea, to be honest. So I don't think it's anything serious. Same with Darwin Nunez. They were kind of rested against Luton as a precaution. They didn't need them anyway. So yeah, the latest update from yesterday was it's important for us to use each minute, use each day to really look how the players are. This for Mo, Dominic Szoboszlai and Darwin Nunez. 2 training sessions to go. Let's see how they are, and then we can make a decision at the last minute. So it's down to a late fitness test. I think he's going to start against Chelsea, and by Game Week 27, he's definitely going to be available. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Hi Dylan, I have only 2 players playing. Should I take a -4 to get Hwang Hee-chan or go for 1 defender? I'd still rather take a -4 to get Hwang Hee-chan, but it depends, because if you've got 5 midfielders and 3 forwards already, and you have to bench one of them, then yeah, it might not be ideal. So it's ultimately team dependent, but on the face of it, Hwang Hee-chan is my favourite hit out of the 2. Good luck to you as well, Fingon. Thanks for the advice as always. I'm going to captain Haaland. No Liverpool game. I guess I'll watch Forest. Yeah, look, everyone should play the game the way they want. And if you want Liverpool players in 27, I think it can pay off in 27 specifically. But in 28 and 29, I'm just not a big fan. I already have 11 players for this game week. Should I roll or do KDB to a Wolves mid with my free transfer? I'll definitely do it if we get a leak. Yeah, I think keep things as they are. Roll. But if KDB is benched, go to Hwang Hee-chan or Pedro Neto, depending on your preference. Should I keep Adebayo until double game week 28 and hope he'll be fit by then? He should be fit by then, that's for sure. Or sell now for Watkins. Yeah, I just sell to Watkins, to be honest. But Adebayo will be fit by double game week 28. He will be. Who is better, Crystal Palace attacker or an Everton defender? I'd probably go for the... This week, I'd go for the Crystal Palace attacker. How are you, Dylan? Do you think Tyler will play today? I'm guessing that's Taylor. Or should I sell him for a -4? I think he does play today. And I'd probably keep him. Aditya says, who to captain amongst Saka, Tony? Yeah, I've covered this, mate. I've covered it. Hi Dylan, just got here. Any leaks? I did rush Rasmus in before the news. Sad. Yeah, I've got a friend who transferred him in, and he's got a bit of a record of jinxing players, so to speak. It's just bad luck sometimes, and Rasmus has got a few injury problems recently. I think he missed out a game against Forest around December, late December, due to an injury problem, just when he was hitting form. I think he just scored against Aston Villa to start the run he's currently on. Your captain picks in order. Yeah, Haaland, Saka, Watkins, Tony, Foden or De Bruyne, depending on who starts, and Hwang. That's my top 6 in order. And yeah, I have no leaks whatsoever. Adil says, would you do a -8? Yes, I would. But potentially the hit for Pau Torres, I would maybe save and see if you can do it for free heading into game week 29. I personally think Forest will score. And if that's the case, I don't think the hit is worth it this week. -8, Palmer and Borot for Pau and Odegaard. Yeah, once again, similar to what I said to Adil, I'd reconsider the Pau Torres transfer for a hit. But I do like Odegaard. I think he's a good option. Great form since December. Why not Saka captain? Because I think Haaland will score more points. It's as simple as that. Pau Torres versus Dalot for a -4. The plan right now is to not free hit in 29. I mean, Dalot has the highest ceiling, but he has Man City in 27, very likely to blank in 29, whilst Pau Torres does have that confirmed fixture against West Ham. Yeah, so you're not looking to free in 29. I'd rather go for Pau Torres. What's your plan from now until 30? I've covered this in my recent team selection videos and earlier in the stream, but just to summarize, Son in 27 or 28, bring Solanke in for Haaland in 28, and potentially a Bournemouth or Luton Town defender as well for double game at 28. KDB to Odegaard. If KDB is benched, then yes. Sell Jota, Porro, and KDB for Hwang Hee-chan, Odegaard, and Pau Saliba. Yes, once again, if KDB is benched, I'd easily sell him. If he isn't, you know, we get confirmation of him starting. You definitely keep him for at least one more week. Worth taking a -4 for Nunez to Watkins to bench one of Taylor, Trippier, Gabriel, Stupinian. Yes. Yes, it is. I will do that. Argentinians and Brazilians are very demanding, and Neymar did get unlucky with injuries. Messi managed to win it all at international level with Argentina. Yeah, and there were many years where he didn't. He was close. He won Olympic medals and the Under-20 World Cup, but he didn't win, you know, the big honours. But look, Argentina went on a big, you know, trophy drought, very big. You know, for a country that size in football, they should never have gone that many years without a Copa America, World Cup. But it happens sometimes. Football works in cycles, and yeah, I'm sure Brazil will have their time. I hope they don't, but it's inevitable. How about Welbeck for a punt? Returns in the last 3 games. Good fixtures coming up. Look, the fixtures are there for the next 3, but in terms of Brighton assets, Gross and Adingra would be my favourites. And in the forward line, you've got Tony, Solanke, Watkins, Haaland. Those are the 4 to go for. Captain Haaland or Watkins, I'm currently going for Haaland. It seems boring, but I personally think Man City will score 3 or 4 past Bournemouth, and I think Haaland will be involved. Hi, Dylan, would you captain? Who would you captain as a differential? Probably Watkins. In my captaincy order, I did put Watkins 3rd and Hwang 5th or 6th. Johnston versus Martinez, I would go for Martinez. How likely are we to know if KDB will be benched? I'm not sure if I should put an exact percentage on it, but I think we're quite likely. Why better captain Haaland over Watkins this game week? Because Forest have the 2nd best defensive record over the last 6 game weeks. They've been quite solid under Nuno Espirito Santo. They're not conceding many goals or chances. And I also think the Man City versus Bournemouth record is just massive. 14 goals for Man City in the last 3 meetings against Bournemouth. And I think Haaland will return. He did it last season at the Vitality Stadium. Ruben Diaz starts for Man City against Bournemouth. Great. I'd rather get confirmation of Ake, but yeah, here we go. The leak's already starting. Why Stupinian? I mean, I've got him. I bought him in when he was starting games and doing well. He got 1 return for me. I'm not going to sell him for a hit, to be honest. Not yet, anyway. Do you think Stones will start? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. Let's just wait and see for the leaks. But with Man City defenders, yeah, the only ones I'd probably expect to start would be, well, Diaz because it's confirmed, and probably Ake. Do you play any other game than FPL? UCL Fantasy, of course. World Cup Fantasy and Euro Fantasy. F1 Fantasy as well I'm planning to play this season. Gasemi says, is this a good defense for my wildcard draft? Yes, it is. Of course it is. You're optimizing double game at 28 and blank game at 29 that way. And looks fairly decent for this week. And yeah, you start Gabriel, Pau Torres and Reguilon, bench Senesi. Yeah, I think that looks good. Pedro Neto or Hwang, Solanke or Tony? I prefer Tony over Solanke this week, and that's why I bought him in. And of course I bought in Hwang, so you probably know my answers there. But Solanke is better than Tony for 27 and 28. There's no denying that. So if you just want to save that transfer, not make too many moves up front, Solanke might be your best bet, but I personally prefer Tony. Is Matty Cash worth it? Not really. If you've got cash, you hold on to him so long as Konsa's injured, but he is progressing well and he could be back fairly soon. And once that's the case, you could see Cash being benched again. My prediction is that by the time we get to Blank Gameweek 29, Cash will be on the bench. Hey Dylan, instead of removing KDB for Saka, I can remove Jota for Hwang Hee-chan and Darwin for Watkins. Yeah, I do prefer that. I'm not sure if that means a hit. If it doesn't, I would go for that instead. Are you free hitting in Game Week 29? The current plan is not to, but I am open-minded. So in terms of chance of free hitting, the 3 game weeks I'm likely to free hit in are 34, 37 and 29 in that order. Move out Cash for Pal, have an extra transfer this week, or replace Kabore or Trippier. So I do prefer Pau Torres in the long term, but I do think it's quite sideways right now. I think Cash will definitely start with all the injuries Villa have at the back. So I'd maybe... So you're saying you have 2 free transfers, right? So you want to use one. If that's the case, I'd rather sell Kabore, for example, or even Trippier. Neto or Trossard? Neto. Let's sell to Maguire for a -4. Not worth it, in my opinion. A clean sheet against Fulham is possible, but you don't really gain too much from that hit because in 27 it's Man City. United assets won't really deliver, in my opinion. Then you've got, yeah, decent fiction 28, but then a likely blank in 29. Neto for minutes, that's fair. Alvarez captain differential. I'm not completely against it, to be fair. I'm not. Good luck, Dylan. Likewise, Salman. Ake starting, says Ayub. That's probably from FPL.Tony, I'm guessing. I'll have a check. Be sure to drop a like if you haven't already. The aim is to get this stream to 150. We've got half an hour left until the deadline, so be sure to do that. Yeah, he is back in the starting 11. Okay, that's good. If he wasn't, then it would have been one of my worst transfers of the season, which is saying quite a lot. So yeah, Ake and Ruben Diaz are starting. That is confirmed. I'll try keep an eye out and keep you posted on any more updates and leaks we get. But yeah, Ake does start, which is good news for the owners. So yeah, we'll go back to your questions. We've covered pretty much most things this week about captaincy, benching dilemmas. Well, benching dilemmas not too much this week with the blanks, but -4 hit questions and selling certain players. But yeah, everything's been covered. Predicted points. Would you remove Richarlison, Palmer, or Gordon for Hwang? If you're free hitting in 29, I would remove Richarlison. If you're not free hitting, then I would remove Palmer. That'd be my take. Man United midfielder or Odegaard for my wild card? I prefer Odegaard. I'm starting Taylor over Branthwaite because if Taylor does anything, then Twitter will go mad and I won't be able to stand it. Fair enough. I mean, if you are backing Branthwaite to do better, though, I mean, I would go in that direction. So, look, either way, I don't expect anything from either. Yeah, 5 minutes till the deadline. Yes, that is true. Still waiting on KDB and a Stupinian leak. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll get one for a Stupinian. KDB is more likely. Yeah, you are right, Ruben. Good news there. Good to see you, Jayan. Worth taking a -4 for Burn. Only got both a Stupinian and Lamptey playing, so struggling in defence. Oh, you're buying Burn, or you're selling him. If you're selling Burn, fair enough. But even then, I'm not so sure. Yeah, in terms of defenders this week for a -4 hit, I don't think many are worth it. So for this week specifically, Wolves defenders, Aston Villa, such as Pau Torres and Alex Moreno, even Dallo, I think look good. In the long term, I think Gabriel, Saliba, Pau Torres again, Reguilon, all worth the -4 hit because they cover 2 blank game weeks, or in the case of Arsenal defenders, they have good long-term fixtures and the best defence in the league. So yeah, in terms of -4 hit for defenders, I think it's a slim pickings right now. Historically, Uruguay are the biggest overachievers at international level. Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Their population is less than London's, and they've got 2 World Cups, more than England. They've got 15 Copa Americas, joint most with Argentina. They've got even more trophies than Brazil, I believe. If not, they've got 1 or 2 less. You know, they're pretty much right up there with, you know, Brazil and Argentina in terms of trophies won. Yeah, I mean, they are the biggest overachievers. I don't really like the way they kind of count 2 Olympic medals as World Cups and they put 4 stars, but, you know, everyone's different. Start Gordon or Solanke? Gordon. Let's see what else we have. Always have your vice captain ready and use the app if the website crashes. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I mean, you always want to have that settled pretty early on. KDB and Walker don't start, says Nucleams. Thank you for the update. I'm quite pleased as a non-Walker and KDB owner because, yeah, I mean, I was a bit pissed off, not pissed off, but, you know, seeing Walker get those 12 points, getting that fraudulent assist, you could argue, whilst Ake got 2 points was a bit frustrating. I haven't seen anything from FPL.Tony about that, though. So, yeah, let's see. Hi, KDB to Odegaard for a -4. If KDB doesn't start, I'd say yes. Bowen or Pedro Neto, Dylan? If you've already got Hwang, I'd go for Bowen. Best seat defender for free hit? Ake. He's starting, according to reliable sources. The potential -8 for Powell was for me to field 11 players this week. Would you still not do it and stick with a -4 for Hwang and Watkins only? I get that, but it's also the fact about, do you back Villa to keep a clean sheet? If you don't, then you could also think, maybe I can save this transfer for 27, 28, or 29. But ultimately, I've said this already, one of the few defenders who could be worth the -4 hit anyway, even if they don't keep a clean sheet this week, is Pau Torres because he features in 29, so the hit already is made up for. De Bruyne is apparently benched, but let's wait for confirmation. The Dutch are quite big overachievers. In terms of population, true, but in terms of the quality of players they've had, though, over the years, they should have won more. They should have a World Cup. They really should. They've reached, 3 finals? They lost to Germany, Argentina, and Spain. Yeah, I mean, they've had some of the best players in history. Cruyff, Bergkamp, I mean, so many. I mean, I don't know. I'd actually argue they're underachievers. The best captain this game week? I mean, I'm going for Haaland. I think he is the best one. The Doggy or Bradley out? I would rather sell Bradley, especially if you're looking to free hit or not free hit in 29. Will Glasner start Johnston or Henderson? Good question. My guess would be Johnston, but that maybe isn't a great or educated guess. I have 10 players starting. Should I go for Livramento to Powell or Darwin to Solanke for a -4? I'd rather go Darwin to Solanke because in Game Week 27 and 28, great fixtures. Obviously, the double in 28, and that is worthwhile. Both good transfers, though. They really are. Powell probably has the higher floor than Solanke this week. More likely to return, but in general, Solanke is going to vastly outscore Pau Torres over the next couple. I actually think I'm bringing in Garnacho this week for Jota, very likely to free in 29, would allow me to do Salah for KDB next week, Foden to Son this week after. Yeah, from that perspective, I think the free in 29 could be quite useful to buy Salah in early and not have to worry about the blank in 29. So, good plan. It's good to be different. I'm going in a different direction as things stand. I'm open-minded, but I do like what you're saying. Bournemouth City is at 5:30. Yeah. You say this is early, mate. I've seen leaks a day early from these guys. So you might be asking how they're getting this news, but they've got contacts inside the clubs. KDB for Gross, says James. Yes, if he is benched, then yes. So yeah, right now as things stand, the Walker KDB thing isn't true. It might be in the end, but let's wait and see for confirmation. But we haven't got anything just yet. Yeah. So far, the only confirmed news we have is Ruben Dias and Ake starting. Thank you, Safir. Appreciated. No worries, Nuclear. Sagar says, I have 10 players starting. Should I go for Livramento to Power for a -4? Once again, if you're not free hitting in 29, it's not bad. You know, taking a -4 for Pau Torres is still a decent transfer, and I'm not completely against it. But if you are free hitting in 29 and you're only going to start Pau this week, you're going to bench him against Luton and against Tottenham, is the -4 hit really worth it then? I don't think so. Best differential captain out of Saka, Watkins, Alvarez, Foden, and Hwang. I mean, I wouldn't really class Saka as a differential captain or even Watkins. I mean, look, out of those options, it's Saka. I'm not going to lie to you. The way I ranked it was Saka second, Watkins third, Tony fourth, Foden fifth, and Hwang sixth. That's pretty much what I went for. Alvarez isn't a bad shout either, but yeah, my favourite from those is Saka and Watkins. Odegaard or Neto? Odegaard, if you can afford it. Does Mikalenko start? He took a knock last match. I think so. But then again, I might be completely wrong about that. So just to see the exact words by Sean Dyche in regards to this injury, which isn't serious. Mikalenko took a knock, but we're hopeful he'll be all right. Late fitness test, 75% chance of playing. Yeah, I think he's going to play, to be honest. That's my take. Best three captains for this game week, Dylan. I just covered that. So Haaland, Saka, Watkins for me is the top three. A very underrated and differential pick is Tony. I like him a lot. -8 to get full 11. If I do, I would have to sell Richarlison to who? I mean, I don't know which midfielders you have already, which makes it difficult to answer. But Hwang, Pedro Neto are worthwhile. Even Odegaard, Gross, they're all good options, especially if you're looking to free in 29 and you're not too fussed about that. Then I'd be focusing on those options, assuming you have Saka already. KDB to Bowen or Bailey or Douglas Luiz -4. My favourite will be Bowen. He might not be the best this week, but in 27, 28 and 29, when Paqueta's ready to start, I think Bowen could come back to becoming a good FPL option again. Gross or Neto? Over the next three, I'd slightly favour Gross. I'm not going to lie. I think I'd go for Gross. Rashford, Fernandes or Tony? Tony. Alvarez for Watkins, -4, or do it next week for free, says Music Kiwi. Great question. Alvarez against Bournemouth, if he does start, which is quite likely, I do like Alvarez this week. I'd probably save it for next week. Unless we get confirmation of Alvarez benched for the first time this season in the Premier League. Pau Torres or Gabriel for a -4 to complete my 11. Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but once again, it comes down to that free hit strategy in 29, I think, because if you're playing the free in 29, I'd rather go for Gabriel. I'd rather go for him. Arsenal have a better defence, better fixtures over the next three. So yeah, it really depends on that. If you are looking to navigate Game Week 29 without the free hit, then Pau Torres is the better option for you and your team. Foden or KDB? Foden. No worries, Raman. Will Taylor start? I think so. Yes, I think Estupinian starts. Thoughts on Garnacho as a transfer in isolation? He is actually in my best free hit team video. He was on the bench, but he's got a good record against Fulham. I think he scored against them in the last game of last season. I think it was a 2-0 win. And he also scored a late winner against Fulham, a 2-1 win, just before the World Cup. And Garnacho's in good form too. But the Hojlund injury does put me off Man United attackers, to be honest. Saka or Haaland for captain? I'm going for Haaland myself at the moment. I might change it, but that's my current plan. Captain Hwang Hee-chan. It's a good option. The fixture's there. So I could certainly think of worse choices. I'm not going for it myself, but it is a good choice. If I wildcard in 27, do you think I should make the team in a way that covers 29 and then I free hit in 34? Or should I make the team in a way where I still free in 29? If it was me personally, I'd ideally use it in a way where you navigate 29 without the free hit and maybe use it in 34 or 37. I think that would be my preference, but there is a way to make both scenarios and avenues work. Foden starts via FPL Tony. Yeah, I mean, let me just double check that. I do trust you, but yeah, Foden started a lot recently, so it's quite surprising. Yeah, Foden does start. So right now, we do have confirmation of Foden, Ake, and Ruben Dias starting. So good news from my FPL team. That's 2 out of 3 Man City players starting for me. Let's see if Haaland does. I mean, he almost certainly will, but you never know with Pep Guardiola. So yeah, we do have 80 minutes until the deadline. Let's be sure to get this stream to over 150 likes. It costs nothing, and I have answered hundreds of questions already. We've covered a lot heading into Blank Gameweek 26, everything you need to know. So be sure to drop a like as well to show your support. And a massive shout out to all the channel members and patrons for your constant support to the channel. Would you sell Palmer for Hwang? Yes, especially for free. I heard Hwang Hee-chan is having problems with his calf injury again, so he might not play. I'm not so sure where you heard that, to be honest. I'd be very careful where you hear news from, because there's a lot of sources and accounts that try to get clout, and sometimes they just invent things and in the hopes of being right, especially in terms of, oh, this player is starting. Would you captain Saka if you know Arsenal score 5 again? Oh, yeah. But I don't think Arsenal score 5. I think Newcastle will be a bit more defensively resolute, and I think they won't be as open as they normally are, because if they do that, if Newcastle play the way they've been doing for the last couple of months, they're going to get destroyed. I don't think that is in their best interests. The best way of getting a result against Arsenal is to sit back, deep block, try to frustrate Arsenal, win a lot of fouls, break the tempo of the game like Porto did the other day. Any news on Estupinian starting? No. Foden starts, yep, no worries, Nuclear. That is the case. Good news for Foden owners. Jota to Hwang or Bowen Louise. I don't plan to free in 29. In that case, I think Bowen is probably your best bet. KDB to Bowen Odegaard if he is benched. So, once again, just like I just mentioned to Adil, if you are free hitting in 29, then I would rather use or go for Odegaard. If you are looking to navigate 29 without the free hit, Bowen is the best option. Start Reguilon or Trippier. I'd probably go for Trippier still because of the attacking potential. I think both concede. Start Solanke over KDB if Solanke's confirmed on the bench. Potentially, but to be honest, it might sound crazy. I think KDB in just 20-30 minutes can outscore Solanke. That's my personal preference. Sell Doughty, Bradley or Colwill for a -4. I would rather sell Colwill. Blanks in 26, likely to blank in 29. Poor fixtures, really, for the foreseeable future. Bradley against Forest is a nice differential. Doughty double in 28. So, yeah, I'd sell Colwill. So, yeah, rumour that KDB doesn't start. Let's see if that's the case. Should I do Darwin to Solanke for a -4 or wait till next week? I'd wait till next week if possible, but I'm not completely against the -4 this week. Good luck, Venom, even though I hate Gross, to be honest. Barkley or Tavernier for 28. Oof, well, Bournemouth have the better fixtures in 28. I'd probably go for Barkley still, but just about. Do you see Everton scoring? Yes. Foden or Odegaard on free hit? Foden. Captain Watkins, he's my third option in terms of the rankings. Close between him and Tony. I think Tony could just about edge it. But yeah, I think he's a good option. Gordon to Garnacho for a -4 and Jota to Hwang. I would just do Jota to Hwang and keep Gordon. Sinchenko to Gabriel with a -4 or play Charlie Taylor. Close one. I'd just play Charlie Taylor, maybe bring Gabriel in next week. Would you do Kevin to Foden for a -4? If Foden is benched and that's confirmed, then yes, I would. Just bear in mind that then Foden plays United next, which is actually a good fixture for him, but then Liverpool away, and then a likely blank in 29. Let's go Watkins last minute captain like last time. Good luck, Dion. What happened last time? Was it 18 points or was it something less appealing? Thank you, Williams Tropical Farm. Massively appreciated. Great name. Any news on Pinnock? I think he's out until the end of March. Let me double check that for you, but I'm pretty sure he's out for a long time. Let me just double check that. So yeah, those that went for Pinnock last week were very unlucky. Yeah, so the last update we've got was this time last week. Unfortunately, he'll be out until after the international break. So yeah, Pinnock is ruled out until the end of March, the 30th at the very least. So yeah, that is the latest update on Pinnock. Dylan Alvarez looks like the literal reincarnation of an older Man City legend by the name of Georgie. Yeah, I saw that. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that surname. Yeah, I saw that meme once. I think it was last season. Hoping the boy Doku starts and does what he did in the reverse fixture. That would be massive. It really would. Doku is kind of a feast or famine player, isn't it? Because he's either really good and he gives you a massive haul, or he's just terrible. He was awful for me in UCL Fantasy. Kudus deserves a shout. Yeah, definitely. Of course. In terms of covering 26 and 29, Bowen and Kudus are two of the best midfielders. Abdul says, I have Walker, KDB and Haaland. Pep roulette, bang, bang. The Walker and KDB news isn't confirmed, though, as far as I'm aware. Is Bailey a good option? Yes, just bear in mind, he does pick up a lot of knocks. He started 10 of the last 12 games, which is encouraging. But the 2 games he didn't start in is because of knocks. You've also got the Europa Conference League happening very soon between Game Week 27 and 28. And then you've got a congested fixture schedule there for Aston Villa. So is Bailey a good option? Yes, but I also think he's a minutes risk. The way I'm seeing it is if Hwang, Watkins and Powell average at least 4 points each this week, yeah, of course I do. And like I said, it's not a bad thing to transfer in Powell, but I'm just saying maybe reconsider taking it this week. It's up to you. I just personally think it's a bit redundant to take a hit for Pau Torres if you're looking to bench him in 27 and 28 and you're free hitting in 29. Any leaks about Stupinian starting? Nope. Should I sell KDB for -8 to Odegaard? If KDB is confirmed to be benched, then I would sell him for a hit, yes. Should I take the hit to bring in Hwang for KDB if we don't get any news? I personally would then keep KDB, but look to sell him very soon. I personally think he starts against United, does well, but Liverpool away is a good time to sell him in 28. I just heard that Jesus is with the Arsenal squad. I'm not sure where you heard that from, but be sure to put a link if you can. But yeah, Jesus is close to return. He has been for some time, but yeah, it's quite surprising to see him not return sooner. Hi Dylan, just curious, how are you getting your players to show the away jersey? Just type in FPL Away Kits Chrome extension. You can add it to your browser if it's a Google Chrome powered browser, and there you go. Would you captain Hwang or Saka if you were chasing? Saka still for me. Bowen, Kudus or Hwang Hee-chan? For this week, Hwang Hee-chan. Longer term, covering Blank Gameweek 29 as well, Bowen. Best defender in the game from now until Gameweek 29 if you weren't free hitting in 29. Pau Torres and Reguilon are my favourites in that case. Which one should I get for wildcard draft? Van Heck, Craig Dawson or Reguilon? Reguilon. And I covered this in the wildcard team video. Alvarez is playing? I think so, but we don't have confirmation of that, so... Should I do Nunez to Watkins? Yes, 100%. Senesi or Dalot for wildcard? Dalot's better for this week, but Senesi has a good fixture in 27 and a double in 28, which is one of the best doubles you can assemble. Both of them are likely to blank in 29. United are better defensively. Dalot's also better for bonus points. I do prefer Dalot, to be honest, but to cover 27 and 28, it might be in your best interest to go for Senesi. Yeah, if you've got 3 defenders to start this week that you're happy with, I'd go for Senesi. Can I capture he? Can I capture he? I'm not sure about that. Classic Dylan late captaincy change. I'm not so sure, to be honest. Unless we see... Oh dear, yeah. Apparently huge surprise for Aston Villa. Yeah, so unless we get news of Haaland being benched, I think I'm going to stick with him. KDB start or take -4? I'd keep him for now. But he is a sell eventually. You know, the minutes are just a big concern. I've always said this about him. You know, he can do well in limited minutes, but eventually you just want someone who starts week in, week out and gets 90 minutes under his belt consistently. But I'd probably keep him. A lot of people are saying he's going to be benched. A lot of predicted lineups also indicate that. So, yeah, pick your poison. Start Stupinian or Gordon? I'd go for Gordon. I hit Gross 2, I bring him in, he blanks 3 times, I take him out, he returns 3 times. Also, you just brought him back in. I see. Yeah, I don't know, Venom. Based, because you're kind of similar to me, right, with Gross. Maybe the captaincy on him might not be the best thing. I'm a bit worried about that now. Sell Gusto or Trent or Bell to Pau Torres. I'd sell Gusto. Now, to be honest, all 3 of them are sellable. Trent is really expensive. Selling him opens up the funds. You know what? I'd sell Trent this week. I'd then sell Gusto next week. I think that's the way I'd go about it. Foden or Tony on a free hit? Tony. Start Areola or Neto? Areola. What about Adingra? Decent option for the next 3 game weeks, but I prefer Gross. No worries, Dergish. Dylan thinking of going without Haaland after game week 27 or the season. I think it's the most upsided risk to catch up. Look, it's not a bad idea. And actually, my best period of the season was when I didn't have Haaland. I went for Son, Salah, Saka. And yeah, I just had a much better overall squad. So I see what you mean. And actually, I'm looking to sell Haaland to Solanke in 28. I have 10 players starting. Should I go for Livramento for Pau for a -4? Yeah, you're saying you're freeting in 29. You're probably benching Pau against Tottenham in 28. You might start him in 27, but my answer would be no. Just my personal take. Awali says prediction for Chelsea versus Liverpool cup final. Yeah, a lot of the games end 0-0, don't they? But this season's been a bit different. We had a 2-2 and a 4-1. I think Liverpool win the cup final 3-1. Will De Bruyne play? I don't think so. I don't think he starts. Botman or Taylor? Taylor. Martinez or Pickford? Martinez. Is there any defender worth a -8 this week at all? I mentioned them already. So for this week specifically, Wolves defenders, Alex Moreno, Pau Torres. I think longer term, you could also include the Aston Villa defenders, Reguilon, Arsenal defenders like Gabriel and Saliba. So yeah, there are defenders that are worth it, but in terms of a 1-week punt, you know, it's just, even those I mentioned, I think it's very unlikely for it to really pay off. So yeah, I'd mainly be looking at those that feature in 26 and 29. So Reguilon, Pau Torres, Alex Moreno, and also Arsenal defenders because of the defense in general. You can start them every single week, except for 29, where they're likely to blank, really. Gordon or Trippier to bench? I would bench Trippier. Bailey or Adingra, a good option. They're both good options. I'd rather go for Bailey because he covers blank game at 29. If you are looking to free it anyway, then Adingra is maybe slightly better for the next free. -4 for Saliba. Depends who you're selling, but I do think it's still worth it for the next free. Lascelles starts? No, I don't think so. Munich or Watkins for Hojlund? Munich, I'm guessing that's Muniz. Watkins, definitely. Prediction for the final tomorrow, probably 3-1 Liverpool, as I mentioned. -4 for Solanke or wait until next week. I'd probably wait until next week if it was me personally. I think he blanks this week, that's why. But hit this week isn't the end of the world for Solanke because he pays it off in 27 and 28 anyway. Sell Gusto or Bradley? Sell Gusto. Rashford, not a bad choice, but I'm a bit less keen on Man United now with Hojlund's injury. So just to break it down, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, when United have had the front three of Hojlund, Rashford and Garnacho, they've won 6 games, drawn 1, lost none. They've also averaged 2.7 goals per game, I think. When one of them is missed out, so any other attacking trio, I think United have 12 wins, 14 losses, and a number of draws, and they average 1 goal per game. Muniz or Watkins? Yeah, no worries. Watkins is by far the best. Bowen or Hwang, if no free hit in 29, Bowen. Bailey or Adingra, a good option? Yes, both of them are. Best alternative captaincy as Marcus Rashford? No, I don't think so. Especially after what I just mentioned. Which players to bring in wildcard draft with the intention of no free hitting in 29? Check out my best wildcard team video. I cover it in detail. So the likes of Reguilon, Pau Torres. I still go for an Arsenal defender. Let me just bring up the team quickly so I can just list off. Yeah, the likes of Fleckin, Neto in goal, Tony, Watkins, Haaland, and then you can buy Solanke for Haaland in 28. You can always just bring in Solanke now if you wish. Douglas Luiz, Bowen or Kudus, Saka, Heung-min Son, Doughty. Those are the sorts of options you can go for. So check out that wildcard video. It's all broken down there. Thoughts on a -8 of Darwin to Tony, KDB to Saka, and Palmer to Hwang? Yeah, look, good transfers overall. It's aggressive. I do like it. Even though it's a -8 in a blank game week, I do think the transfers pay off. Yeah, I'd say yeah. Neto or Hwang? I've gone for Hwang. Who's more of a priority transfer out? Gusto or Van Dijk? I'd say Gusto, but Van Dijk is more expensive, of course. And if you can do a lot with that extra money, you might have to reconsider. But for me personally, Gusto is more of a sell. Martinez or Areola, Martinez, any Crystal Palace midfielder or striker. Mateta, I guess, but I'm not a big fan of Crystal Palace attackers, with the exception of Elise and Eze. You never walk alone, says Gary. Do I play Taylor or Trippier? I'd probably go for Trippier. KDB is human. He can't keep scoring or assisting from the bench every time. Haaland starts via FPL.Tony. Thank you, Hosea. So yeah, all three of my Man City assets are starting this time. Great. Looking good then. Haaland captain. So yeah, just to recap for those that are maybe tuning in now. Haaland, Foden, Ake, and Ruben Dias all start today. That is confirmed by FPL.Tony, a reliable source that I've also referred to before in my UCL fantasy streams. So, yeah, he's never got anything wrong so far in terms of Man City. So, yeah, we do have 4 minutes left for the deadline. Lock in your teams right now. Make sure your captain, vice-captain, your bench order, everything is set. Of course, a lot of you might not even have a bench player who features this week, but just in case, make sure everything is locked in. There haven't been any site crashes this season, but maybe I'll just jinx it now. Any update on Zinchenko? He's close to return, but there's no guarantee he starts this weekend, to be honest. I personally think he doesn't start. It'll be Kivior again. So in terms of what Arteta actually said, so this is what? Yesterday. So yeah, he said that Zinchenko is not far away at all. So he's not really giving much away. I personally think Zinchenko will be on the bench. I don't think he starts. Is Trippier a good sell to Saliba or Kabore to Region? Kabore to Region is my preference, not going to lie. Tony is literally edging us all with 6 minutes to go. Yeah, pause. Start Areola or Flecken? Great question. I would probably go for Areola. I think both concede. Who should I bench? Estupinian, Cash, or Taylor? I would bench Taylor. Estupinian or Dallo to buy? Dallo. Gordon to Garnacho for a -4? No. So yeah, a lot of you are in tune with the leaks there. KDB doesn't start via lazy FPL. So those of you with Kevin De Bruyne, it looks like he is out. He's on the bench. So let me just get this up. We might as well get all these websites up. So, yeah, Haaland, my captain. So just to recap for those of you, Ariel is in goal for me. Saliba, Estupinian, Ake as the back three. Saka, Foden, Gordon, Hwang Hee-chan, Tony, Haaland, Watkins. Haaland's my captain. Saka's my vice. That's the only change from the team selection video. I changed the vice captaincy from Watkins to Saka. I've got Dubravka, Lascelles, Palmer, Pedro Porro on the bench. Those 4 Man City players are starting. Ruben Dias, Ake, Haaland, and Foden. So, yeah, that's pretty much locked in. I don't think I'm going to change the captaincy. So very soon I'm going to show you what the leaks are saying. But, yeah, KDB doesn't start. That is big news as well. So let me just get that up right now, just to confirm. And we do have just over a minute left, so be sure to lock in. The deadline is at an awkward time, 1:30 p.m. UK time. So, yeah, Lazy FPL are saying Kevin De Bruyne doesn't start. So, yeah, I've just seen it myself. Thank you, Nuclear Atoms, and the others for letting me know in the chat. It's genuinely appreciated. Bailey is so tempting over Louise if he gets 60-plus minutes each game week. True, but the problem is with the Europa Conference League in between 27 and 28, you could even see a benching. Can I bench Solanke? Of course. I personally think he blanks this week. Thank you, Blood Type Arsenal. Good luck, Brother Dylan. Clutch settings as usual. Shout out to the community. Love. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. And big up to you as well. All the best. Drafthound says Captain Saka better than Haaland by 0.1. Oh, it's changed now, hasn't it? Because when I last showed it, they both had 7.7 expected points. So now it's slightly higher for Saka. You said make sure to say your bench order. Yeah, I know. I realized that when I was saying it. I mean, yeah. Some people will have, 2-3 players on the bench. So just make sure everything's done. I mean, either way, let's say, for example, I had Lascelles third on my bench and someone missed out on my starting 11, he would come on. So that's not a big issue. But make sure everything is in order with your transfers, your captaincy, and yeah, just don't leave anything to the last second, including the vice captaincy. But that's it. The deadline is over. Thank you to those that tuned in. Be sure to drop a like and get the stream to 150. It'd be massively appreciated. We are 18 away, so it costs nothing. And yeah, just I wish you the best for Blank Gameweek 26. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through some last minute things. I mean, yeah, a lot of this I've already, covered in depth. So, like captain, I've gone for Haaland personally. Then I would have gone for Saka second, probably Foden third, and Hwang fourth there. Roy, I've covered this a few times throughout the stream. Any Man City defender news? I covered this, mate. So Ruben Dias and Ake start. KDB doesn't start. Yes. Play Castagna or Taylor. I would have played Taylor, but not expecting much from any. Captain Watkins, Tony Foden or Hwang. Yeah, I know the deadline's gone, but I would have gone for Watkins from those. And to be honest, Tony is really tempting. Really tempting. Watkins, captain. He was third on my list. Ariel or Raya. That's a good one. I would have probably gone for Areola, to be honest. But I think a lot of people would disagree, and I understand that. Yeah, Goldhead, did you manage to sell him in the end? I'm guessing you did. I took a -8 hit for KDB for Foden. Gingers crossed. What? Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Foden. He's been so nailed on recently, whilst Kevin De Bruyne has been an absolute nightmare. Will Arsenal blank in 29? If Chelsea beat Leeds United in the FA Cup 5th round, Arsenal versus Chelsea will blank in 29. So that's why a lot depends on next week and the FA Cup results that we get. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll be keeping you posted on this channel, all the updates you need for Blank Gameweek 29 and all the blanks and doubles this season. Play Castagna or Taylor? Taylor, like I said, but obviously, yeah, the deadline's gone. Tony captain, really tempting. One of my favourite differential captains this week. Yeah, I'm all for it. He's in my top 5. Captain Watkins, says Venom. Good luck, mate. Lazy FPL was first on the news for KDB and the others were all Tony. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And they're both very reliable when it comes to Man City news. KDB to Foden last minute, says Ayub. Good luck, mate. It's over. Yeah, hopefully not too bad. Locked in. Yes, predictions. That is up next. Thank you for reminding me. Good luck to you as well, Abdella. Good luck all of your game mix. Likewise, Abdul. My hands were shaking for KDB news. Took the hit to getting Hwang for KDB. Already had Garnacho 2 days ago for Jota. Yeah, good luck, mate. Let's see how Hwang does after all this hype. And I'm actually wondering what his ownership is. It's 8.3, but I think it's higher now. It's surely higher because this was set up at the morning. So I think Hwang's ownership is now over 10%. Good luck as well, Sudindra. Decided to sell KDB and Richarlison to Neto and Rashford for a punt. Hope it goes well. Captain Haaland. Yeah, next game week wildcard. Good luck, mate. Look, I'm not going to even say I'm definitely not wildcarding in 27. It's a possibility, but my current plan is to wildcard in 30 or 31, but the FA Cup results will have a big impact on my chip strategy plan going forwards. Changed the captaincy from Saka to Haaland a couple of hours ago and stuck with it after listening to your thoughts. Oh, fair enough. I mean, yeah, look, there's pros and cons for both of them. Saka as a midfielder has the advantage of the goal points and the clean sheet points, but I genuinely think Newcastle could frustrate Arsenal. And I look at Bournemouth Man City, I think it'll be an open game. And Man City have a terrific record against the Cherries. I think Haaland will do well. I know there's this, kind of narrative that he's not as good without De Bruyne. I still think he does really well without him. Thank you, Isaiah, as always. And thank you for the shout out. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck for Game Week 26. So yeah, even if you're on your way out, be sure to drop a like and get the stream to 150. Fionki says, bench KDB for Solanke. Wanted it to be the other way around. Well, KDB is benched and Solanke's starting, so it makes sense. Solanke's on penalties as well, and that could swing things in his favour. As I mentioned earlier, though, it would not surprise me, and actually one bold prediction I'll make is KDB outscoring Solanke, assuming KDB gets any minutes at all, of course. If he comes off the bench, I think he gets something. Good luck this gaming tour. Likewise, FPR Eric, always good to see you. Thank you, Venom. Took a -12 last week because I wanted KDB and Doughty for the future, and he doesn't even start. Yeah, for KDB to be benched in 2 of the 3 games is very frustrating. I do feel your pain. And he also blanked against Chelsea, which is crazy. KDB is still a good FPL option, but the minutes are always going to be a concern. The injury record, the minutes being managed constantly. That's why I didn't go for him myself. Done a -8 from KDB to Hwang Hee-chan and Jota to Saka. Good luck, mate. All the best. Good transfers. And a lot of hits are being taken, which is quite surprising. Robert Moreno says, good luck for everyone. Likewise. Don't even know if it registered me benching KDB. Did it last second for Gordon. Yeah, assuming that KDB doesn't get any minutes, you should be fine. But I personally think you will. Let's see. What else we have? Predictions on how the United attack will do in general with a new player starting today. Well, as I mentioned a few times in this stream, United have a great record with their optimal front three, Garnacho, Hojlund and Rashford. But when one of them is missing, their record is terrible. I personally think they will struggle. Hojlund's been in great form. He's been one of the most informed strikers in Europe in the last couple of weeks. I think it's a massive miss for Man United. I still think they beat Fulham, but I think they'll struggle. They'll struggle more than they would have with him. Now, a good thing for Man United is that Fulham are missing Paulinho, and Fulham are terrible without him. So I still back them to get the win. But against City, for example, yeah, I think Man City dispatched them quite comfortably. I have Captain Tony. Good luck, Ala Madrid. I really wish it goes well for you because I think Tony's a great option. FPL Villain did tweet a surprise will appear on the Villa lineup. I'm just hoping it's not Watkins, mate. I'm hoping it's Douglas Luiz or something. And thanks for the help with the fantasy football and to practice my English. No worries, Robert Moreno. It's really good English, by the way. It's probably better than my Spanish, much better. So I do appreciate it. Sold KDB to Huang last minute. I think Nuclear Atoms did the same thing. If Man City are winning before 60 minutes, then KDB surely won't play. True, that is true. There's no need to risk him in such a scenario. We only saw him rush back against Newcastle because of the game state. You're right about that. Forgot about this game. Have like 5 blankers past deadline. Damn. Is McTominay the centre forward? I mean, they might as well. Yeah, they might as well, right? Hi, Ala Madrid changed my name. What? What are you on about me? But yeah. No, I don't think so. I think Rashford will play down the middle, right? Just trying to think what else they could do. There's also that youngster who could play on the wings. They could just play Anthony and Garnacho on the wings as well. Yeah, I don't think McTominay will play as a centre forward. Thank you, Dr. Dar. Massively appreciated. Cheers, Dylan. Good luck, everyone. Likewise, Safir. It's always a pleasure. Do you expect anything from KDB against Man United? Okay, I know it's all doom and gloom, and if I owned De Bruyne, I'd be fuming. But I personally think De Bruyne starts against United, and he does really well. So it might be awkward for those that still have him now. But he's definitely a sell by Game Week 28 against Liverpool. Is either Son or Salah even in your thoughts next game week? Son. I mentioned this before. Son is probably my most likely transfer in 27. Then in Game Week 28, Haaland out for Solanke. That's my current plan. Favorite ice cream flavors? I mean, the traditional 3 of strawberry, chocolate and vanilla are great. But I also like dulce de leche, which is a bit like toffee, but it's different, you know, especially the Argentinian dulce de leche. Even cookies and cream I like. I mean, there's a lot, to be fair. Yeah, even sometimes these like forest fruits. There's a lot I like, to be honest. I love ice cream. I shouldn't talk about it. I had some overnight. Is a McSauce their top scorer? Yes, but in terms of him starting down the middle, I don't think that'll be the case. Now, mate, McTominay and Amad Diallo are the only options. If Rashford starts as centre forward, Ten Hag is daft. Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of what he's done in the past. And I think he would do Anthony and Garnacho on the wings, Bruno attacking midfield, and Rashford up front. But maybe you're right. Maybe you are. Butterscotch is the best flavour. Peanut butter flavour, of course. Fair enough. Yeah. I don't mind that, actually. It's a good flavour. Yeah, he hasn't posted anything yet, but apparently there is a surprise in the Aston Villa lineup. Watkins captain, at least vice on Haaland. Good luck, K-Man. I'm hoping for your sake Watkins isn't benched and also for mine. But yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm saying that is because of what people are mentioning in the chat right now, the surprise, so to speak. McTominay should be false 9 for Man United. I mean, he used to be a striker when he was younger, so it makes sense. Sadly, couldn't join the stream. Was sick and had a meeting to attend. No worries, Karen. You don't need to explain yourself. I wish you the best. Hopefully you recover very soon, and hopefully your meeting went well. Started Stupinian over Taylor. What's your opinion? It was the right decision. I would have done the same thing. I recommended it to others as well. You have to try traditional saffron, pistachio, and rosewater ice cream. Best I ever had. I've had pistachio. I don't think I've had the other 2. Yeah, mango or lemon, really good suggestions as well. I mean, yeah, interesting questions, of course. But yeah, I think all of you are kind of bang on with your suggestions. I played all the cliche Twitter hype players today. Huang, Taylor, and Estupinian. There's no way I'm letting other people's joy annoy me today. Yeah, I get what you mean. You can always mute them, to be fair. You can always mute them. But yeah, Huang, I mean, it just seems like everyone has him, but it's not the case. Even though it's not really ice cream, says Fruit Plug. No, but Mango's a really good show. I like that, to be honest. Nick M puts his team. Leno, Gabriel, Stupinian, Trippier, Gomez, Garnacho, Saka, De Bruyne, Mateta, Haaland, Captain Alvarez. Great team. The only downside is De Bruyne. He is benched, but yeah, the rest looks really good. Absolute poor team. I don't think so. I don't think so. I personally back Stupinian to start. Is that Joe Gomez? That's obviously a blank game week player, but the rest looks good. Do you play any other game other than fantasy football? What, as in video games? I do. Video games I play. Yeah, in terms of fantasy football, I do play F1 Fantasy, UCL Fantasy, World Cup Fantasy, Euro Fantasy Football. I did play Sky at one stage, but yeah, sometimes it's too much. If I'm 60% certain of wildcarding in 27, should I activate it tonight to maximize the price changes or wait until Wednesday in case there's a cup upset? I get what you mean. When I wildcard, I like to do it early in the week, just so you can chase these price changes. But I'm not going to lie to you. If there's a 40% chance you're not playing it, I'd probably wait. I think information is key. You're not free hitting in Game Week 29? My current plan is to not free hit, but I'm open-minded. It's a possibility. I'd say there's about a 20-30% chance, but my preference would be to save it for 34 or 37. Rank top 5 leagues and top 5 players from Premier League. Okay, and then after this, I'm going to go through my predictions, and then we'll be wrapping up. I'm going to have lunch, a late one at that, of course. Top 5 leagues, Premier League. I think in second, I would go for La Liga still, but I'm not going to lie. During the prime years when Ronaldo and Messi were there, I think La Liga was arguably better than the Premier League, to be honest, and they dominated European football. But yeah, Premier League, La Liga, I'd go for Serie A, Bundesliga, and then Liga 1. I think that's the way I'd probably do it. Top 5 players from the Premier League. I'm not sure if I can rank them in order, but Salah, De Bruyne, Van Dijk, Rodri, and I mean, Haaland obviously would be in a lot of people's list, but I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I mean, and you probably have to put him in there, don't you? Yeah, that's probably my top 5. My top 5 Premier League players. So 3 from City, 2 from Liverpool. Yeah, I think I'll stick with that. Ala Madrid says, thanks, Dylan. Please like the stream and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Ala Madrid, as always. And by the way, since there's people here, and look, what I want to do, if we get to 150 likes, I'm going to gift 10 memberships today for those that have been staying, well, for such a long time. We've been streaming for a couple of hours now, and I want to reward those that have been, just always tuning in. It's massively appreciated. So, yeah, that is a feature I'd like to do right now. At least give 5 memberships, but if we do get to 150 likes, I will be gifting 10 memberships to people today. Hey Dylan, do you like Indian food? I love it. Honestly, I love it. Indian, Chinese, South Korean, Latino food, Italian food. I mean, yeah, I love it all. Greek, Mediterranean, Turkish. Yeah, I love it all. But Indian is in my top 3 easily. Maybe even first or second. I'm not going to lie. Daniel Box says, thanks for the stream, Dylan. Have a good weekend. Can you tell you have plans for Salah or Son? I could easily buy Son next week for Gordon or Palmer. I think I'll go without Salah until Game Week 30, though, especially if I'm settled on not free hitting in 29. If I decide to free hit in 29, then I could look to buy Salah, but it would require a -4 hit, I think. I done gross to KDB, fingers crossed. Good luck, mate. Wait, the other way around, right? You're buying gross for KDB. If so, either way, good luck. Robert says, my defense for 29, Saliba, Cher, and some defenders from Crystal Palace. I think the Palace defenders could be quite good this week, to be fair, and Saliba. I think Cher's the only kind of downside. Sefer says, tenemos el helado más único del mundo, helado tradicional desde Persia. Wow. What flavors do they have? I'm kind of wondering about that. By the way, how do you do in UCL Fantasy this week? Not great. I mean, look, 61 points. I got a slight red arrow. As I mentioned in the stream, Mbappe versus Vinicius, that was a 50-50 call that could make or break my week. I went for the wrong call, but I do think Vinicius in the long term could beat him. Yeah, no worries, James. It's a good transfer. I do like gross for the next 3. Bundesliga beats Serie A easy. Maybe this year, to be fair. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I mean, Serie A back in the 90s and 2000s was by far the best league in the world. Then the Premier League started to rise to the fore. Then you had La Liga in the 2010s. But yeah, look, the Bundesliga has been quite good this year, but Bayern have been quite poor, in my opinion. De Canio says, James, who do you support? I support Arsenal and Argentina. And Rosario Central. Yeah, 3 teams you might be thinking. Well, 1 national team, 1 from Argentina, and 1 from Europe, my local team. Chocolate fudge brownie, yes, that's true. I do like chocolate fudge brownie as well. Start, bench, and sell pizzas, burger, and kebab. Okay, assuming it's Italian pizza, which I'm guessing it is, Italian pizza starts. I'd probably bench the burgers, Argentinian burgers, which are really good, by the way, and I'd sell the kebab, but I like all of them, which isn't good. Captain Huang, good luck, J War 10. What about kimchi? For some reason, I read kimmick. Haven't tried that, to be honest. Dylan is foodie. What? Hit the like button. Thank you, K-Man. Your favorite city in the world? I mean, I live in London. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, but once you live in a place for a certain while, you could argue you get tired of it. Yeah, my favorite cities in the world, I'd probably go for... I'll go for London and Rosario, probably. Those are my two favorites. Yeah, mainly when I go on holiday, it's to an island or to, more remote location. Could you set up a bot to at everyone when you go live in Discord, please? I'm pretty sure there is one, Zen. There was one, but I'm not sure if it works now for the streams. So I'll double check that. But I did have one for the I think the YouTube alerts thing. King Prawn ticker for me today. Oh, enjoy, Gary. Enjoy. Cheers, Dylan. Another great interactive stream. Thank you very much, Nuclear Atoms. My pleasure. Good luck this week, Dylan. Your team looks solid. Yes, I did take a -4 hit, but it looks okay. Trinic says, no way, Serie A is better. I don't think there's much to separate them, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely up for debate. My friend Captain Huang Yi-chan is top 1K in the world. Hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully it is. La Liga, this has to be the second most interesting league to watch since the Serie A and Bundesliga almost wrapped up. The thing is, though, I think Madrid win La Liga quite easily. I don't think Girona will go the distance, unfortunately, but yeah, I still just think the quality has dipped in La Liga, but it's still better than the other leagues we're talking about. Saffron Ice Cream is the most famous one we have. They probably have it in London, but I don't know if it's authentic. There probably is one place that sells it that is authentic, to be fair. Want to catch 100 plus points? Do I have to do differential captains or 3-4 different players? It's a mixture. And to be honest, in the next few weeks, selling Haaland will be maybe not popular, but it could be a way to differentiate yourself from others. So, for example, you could do Haaland to Solanke or Tony in 28 or 29, depending on which player you bring in, of course. And in that sort of scenario, you can captain, let's say in 27 next week, and go for Saka or Son instead of Haaland when he plays Man United. Cherry, Garuka, Ben and Jerry's. Oof, there's a lot of... I haven't tried all of them, to be honest. Come visit Alexandria. Yeah, there's a lot of places I haven't been to be honest. Have you been to Copenhagen? Nope. Everyone hit the like button to get a chance to win a membership. Yes, likewise. As he mentions, we're literally 1 like away, so we're surely going to get to it, right? How you get City in the away kit? Just type in FPL away kit's Chrome extension and you can add it to your browser. Come to Malta. Yeah, I've actually been to Gibraltar, at least to the airport, but not to Malta. 15 minutes and we know if Estupinian starts. Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'll be that long. We'll wait and see. Took no minus points so far this season. Wow. I'm just taking minus hits galore every single week at the moment. Kane took the curse the Bundesliga. For him to jinx Bayern Munich of all teams is quite impressive. Yeah, Arthur, I actually tried Pookie, and I think I got one prediction right. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I did try out. I'm chasing 100 points as well, mate, and you're doing really well. So the person you're chasing must be in first place or something. Your favorite team from Argentina, Rosario Central, who won the Copa de la Liga last season, and they beat River Plate on the way, but then in the Super Cup, there was a rematch in the final. I think everyone will have Morris, plus Solanke, plus Watkins, thinking they have differentials. I won't have Morris, to be honest. Maybe in 28 if I really want to go something different, but my plan will be Haaland to Solanke, and I'll have Tony, which is a bit of a differential, but he's facing Arsenal that week. Have you been to South Africa? No. Didn't know, but I'm from Singapore. Where do you live? In the UK. So, yeah, in terms of places I've been to, Greece, Spain, Argentina, there's a lot of places I need to go. I've been to a few other countries when I was really young. I think like Germany and Netherlands, but I barely remember it. Also, new YouTube UI. Oh, I haven't even seen it myself, to be honest. Apparently, Estupinian is benched. Oh, here we go. I haven't got from my predictions yet. I'll do it now. Have you been to Jamaica? No. Like I said, there's so many places I need to go to, especially in Central America. News about Archer? No news, to be honest. Hey, Dylan, I'm 65 years old and love your content. Am I your oldest subscriber? Thank you, Ken. I'm not so sure, to be honest. I think... obviously, a lot of people who are watching are, between 20 and 30, 40 people that, love FPL. But I think there are quite a few, actually, around, 50 to 70. But that is impressive, to be honest. And thank you, Ken, for watching. And, yeah, no generational gaps, really, between us in terms of our hobbies and our likes and preferences. So, yeah, we did get to 155 likes. And as I said, I will be gifting memberships now. Remember, they are random. So it's not like I'm choosing the memberships, but... I'll be gifting them now. I just have to open up another browser because it's not letting me do it from the one I've been using currently. So, yeah, I'm just going to set that up and I'm going to go for my predictions. And it looks like, according to some rumours, Estupinian is benched. I hope that's not the case, but yeah, he's been quite useless for me in the last couple of weeks. And he's certainly a sell in the next couple, but I might need to yeah, I might have other bigger fish to fry, as I keep on saying, and that's why Lascelles is still there, unfortunately. So I'm just going to give 5 now. So they are random, and I'm going to read out the names that have been gifted the memberships. So yeah, Gary, Kyron, Zenzone, Daniel, and Arthur all are members right now. So hopefully you enjoy it. Remember, you get early access to my videos, and you also get other perks like priority reply to comments and much more. Premier League title prediction. It's a freeway battle at the moment, but I do think City are the favourites, and I think Liverpool are probably the most likely to usurp them. I think with Arsenal still, there's probably like a winless streak in them that could really cost them, to be honest. Maybe Jazabi, maybe. I need to go through the predictions first, and then if I'm still here, then why not? Congrats on those who got one, says K-Man. You could be the next one. Like I said, it's quite random in the allocation. How long does it take them to update the game? Usually an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. No worries, Zenzone and Gary. Trenix, yes. Hopefully you get one very soon. And Kyron, Daniel, Arthur, enjoy it. Sefa, thank you very much. And HD, it's a great feature from YouTube that they do. They allow you to gift 10 memberships every single month for free. Not seeing any big names saying Estupinian is benched. Yeah, same here, to be honest. And yeah, as Sefa says, congrats members. But let's now go into the predictions. So let's get the fixtures up. Aston Villa versus Forest. I'm going to go for 2-1 Aston Villa. Brighton versus Everton. This is an interesting one. Everton smashed them last season at the Amex, but I'm probably going to go for... This is such a tough one. I might go for a high-scoring game here. 3-2 Brighton. Crystal Palace, Burnley. Ooh, these are some tough games to predict. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Crystal Palace. 2-0 Crystal Palace. Man United versus Fulham. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Man United. Bournemouth versus Man City. 3-1 Man City, as I mentioned earlier. Arsenal versus Newcastle. I'd probably go for a tricky one, actually, here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal. Wolves versus Sheffield United. 2-0 Wolves. And West Ham Brentford. 2-1 Brentford. Those are my predictions there. And if we go back now to the chat, Brighton 2-1 says James. West Ham new manager for next year. I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I'm not even sure who's heavily linked to West Ham right now. Green Arrow income says Gary. Fair enough. Come on, the Gunners. Let's wait and see. Arsenal 2-1. Yeah, that's what I've gone for. Let's wait and see. I think Newcastle will cause problems, but if Arsenal do turn up, they should get the win. Like I said earlier, our 11s are hilariously similar, so I hope you have a good game week. Makes sense. Would love for Gordon to nick some points for you too. I personally am a bit conflicted about that. I'd rather he didn't. I'd rather get the Arsenal clean sheet, but good luck to you. Arthur says, I like Godoy Cruz at the moment. Their goalkeeper's insane. That's a really random shout. I haven't heard about Godoy Cruz for a very long time. But I'm going to gift another 5 memberships now and then head out because we have been streaming for a while. But I appreciate those that have been tuning in. So let's gift these here. So yeah, big up to those that are going to be gifted a membership now. Let's see who gets them. So yeah, Safair, big up to you. K-Man as well. And yeah, like I said, hopefully you do get one. Twisted Parky, Linus K, and Nick N. So enjoy the memberships. Remember, early access to videos and much more perks. I would love West Ham to get a top manager. To be fair, though, Moyes has done a great job with West Ham. He has. If Messi was an FPL, what would his price be? Nowadays, I don't think it would be that high because obviously he's not what he used to be. But yeah, I'd still say he's between 12 and 13 million. I think in his prime, he's easily 14 or 15, to be honest. Easily. Have a nice one, man. See you later. Thank you, Beardy, as always. And obviously, big up to your channel as well. 2012 Messi. I'd say 15 million. I mean, he should be. It's Gordon's birthday, so no clean sheets today. Oh, God, I didn't even know that. I hate this birthday thing. Every time that is mentioned, they do all right. Yeah, HD, you're absolutely right. Hopefully you get one the next time I'm gifting them out. But a big shout out to those that were gifted the memberships. And we'll find out very soon if Estupinian is benched, and hopefully he isn't. But I can't say I'm very hopeful. Thank you to those that have tuned in today. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. And cheers to those that have already done so. Be sure to subscribe and also check out all the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, the FPL League, and Drafthound. And yeah, it's been great talking to you. Tuchel to West Ham? Surely not. Surely not. Yeah, K-Man, enjoy the membership. Sefa says W Arsenal, hopefully. Dr. Dar, see you very soon. Mr. V as well. It's been a blast talking to all of you. I wish you the best for Blank Gameweek 26 and the rest of the season. Keep your eyes peeled for more FPL and UCL fantasy content over the next couple of weeks. And I'll see you next time.